All right.
It uses more bandwidth because you use the camera also, but only to stream it to Google.
All right.
From
Let
there,
me, let me,
Google
let me
does
I
it.
have my camera on
Let me
there now, and I have plenty of bandwidth. That doesn't affect anyone else whether they're on or off.
Let me change my shirts then.
But no one has to use camera. It really doesn't matter for me.
Maybe nobody wants to.
It's whatever you want.
No, I don't care. The Pyramid Illuminati shirt I've got right now is kind of inappropriate. So.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's in a scanner darkly.
Sasha was going to come on naked, but Antonio told her to get dressed.
Oh, nice going, Antonio.
I know. I'm such
Right, I'll be right back.
Puritan.
I think we should be live now.
Mark, have you seen a scanner darkly? Mark, you're muted.
Mark went to take off his Illuminati shirt, and so
He should have left it on. He should have left it on.
He was kidding. He probably was wearing something inappropriate, like a woman's shirt or something.
Yeah. Hey, David.
Don't say it.
Is that one of the?
You gotta wait. Everyone knows.
They don't. I don't think everybody knows yet.
Malaf Cocktail, you're the first one in the chat. I make you moderator. Feel free to ban every troll that joins.
What if he is a troll?
No, I know him. He's in all the Flat Earth live events. He's a good guy, not a troll.
So I have an idea. Since Paige here is new to all of this, and she's not she just basically doesn't really research on her own. I just show her stuff, and so she knows the Earth is flat. Why don't you guys ask her some questions and see how she does defending the flat Earth?
Defending?
Yeah, be a ball head, I don't know. Just an idea.
Oh.
It's
That's a hard position to put her in.
All right, never mind. Skip it.
Yeah, why don't she ask questions about the flat Earth? That would be more.
I swear. He knows it's flat.
Yeah, it's hard to play devil's advocate when I'm a believer.
Well, it's easy to believe that it's not a globe. To believe that it's flat, it's more difficult, I think.
There you go, Mark. How you doing? Hey, Mark, let me see your painting. Is it behind you?
The one that Zimmerman sent me?
Yeah. There you go.
Hang on. Why did you see Patricia's?
I saw Patricia's. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. See, there it is.
Yeah.
Cool.
Does it stay on my head?
Was hers bigger, or was I just seeing an illusion?
No, hers was behind her. I don't know, 4 feet behind her.
Nice.
Some fan that sent one to Mark and sent one to Patricia. Patricia, they're both a little different. Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah. I've got the poster version of hers as well. This one's the original though.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Sasha.
And she actually hung it and didn't break it. I'm amazed.
Yeah.
So,
Mark has. I sent him one.
who made that
He sent it a
painting?
link.
That was made by, I think it's Adam Zimmerman. His father's Joel. I can't remember.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
And your background also.
Oh, my license plate.
It's your
yeah,
license plate, right? Yeah.
yeah. That was fun. I got the license plate. That was easy. That was the easy part. And then a listener.
Nice.
Yeah, my license plate used to be this right there. That's what it used to be.
It's dangerous because now the trolls will recognize you on the highway.
Let them come.
As long as you don't go under a bridge, you'll be okay.
I'm on an island. It's not exactly super easy to get to me. But anyway, so a listener I said, hey, could you take the license plate and blow it up? And so she made a 8-foot by 4-foot banner. So
Wow.
Nice.
I know it's pretty big. So I can go all the way. It's this big. It's
That's
really
awesome.
big.
It's CGI.
It's CGI. like Patricia's cat.
guy. The license is there.
It looks green screen, honest to God.
It does.
And then it's like, but I can't, like, I can take this laser pointer and see that little dot behind it. You can't green screen that.
It's bad if you need a laser pointer to prove that you're not on a green screen.
I know.
Welcome to the flat Earth.
Yeah.
But well,
So,
in some way it makes sense because we say that NASA uses it all the time, so at least we prove that it's real.
Yeah.
Maybe we should send an email to NASA to use a laser pointer in the ISS.
Hey, actually, that's not bad.
They make
not
those,
bad.
Family now.
I mean, because these are super light, so they could take these up to the ISS.
they can
Way
take up
lighter than a
monkey
gorilla
suits.
suit or a guitar.
Exactly.
It's flat. You get into flat 1, it's flat 2.
There's
or
more
it's
people
flat
that have done
6.
it.
Yeah.
Hey, did you guys see Jaren's Moonlight video?
When do you put it up?
I guess today. But basically, he went out, he showed a 5 or 6 degree variation in the moonlight, but then he waited until there was no moon, a new moon, and he did the same thing, and there was very close to the same variation. And he's
How do you pull that off?
well, he's saying that it's not. He says that he doesn't know. He says, but he's not leaning towards it being the moonlight being cold. That the air above us is cold or hot, and if you're in the shade, you're insulated from that cold air, or you're insulated from that hot air. To me, that's a very good explanation of what's happening. But he's not showing. He's showing he used the same spots and everything, and it showed the same temperature difference.
Oh, but he's using ground.
He had a plate on a book on the ground. He used his car, the side of his car, the top of his car. He used the side of the railing, the top of the railing, side of it's in the shade, the top of it's in the moonlight. And even when there was no moonlight, it was warmer, warmer or colder, whatever it was, when you're in the shade at night. So what he's saying is you have a thermal layer, whether it's a cold thermal layer or a hot thermal layer, that's radiating heat or cold on you, and if you put a barrier in between you, like shade during the day, you're cooler, or a barrier in between you, you got that cold, it can't radiate that cold on you, so it's warmer in the shade at night, and that's what he's leaning towards, but again, he's saying, still looking into it, looking for more evidence.
That's not bad, but I'm still going with the insanity test where he took those 3 copper plates. One was in shade, one was in moonlight, and one was in magnifying moonlight. And, it went warm, cold, even colder with a magnifying.
Again, it wasn't conclusive, but now it's like I want to test it. I tried to magnify moonlight during that super moon. I was magnifying. I didn't have a thermal reader, but I was magnifying it on like the most sensitive part of my hand and stuff. My eyes closed. I couldn't, I thought maybe I'd feel some warm, some cold. You'd feel something. I felt nothing, but that's not very scientific.
I was about to say, were you sober?
Stop. Stop. We have Orphan here. Welcome.
Hey, Sasha.
Nice to have you here.
Can I be rude and jump in even though I don't really know what you guys have covered so far about the movement?
We are still trying to figure out what we are doing.
Well, I have a thing about the moonlight, and this is something I talked to Mark about, which is, so the sun puts out all spectrum light, and then the story is that the moon reflects that light back to us. And because the moon is absorbing everything but the kind of light on the blue end of the spectrum, and then blue end of the spectrum would be colder light. So I'm just wondering, I don't think it explains all of it, but I'm wondering whether that could be used as an excuse or whether that comes into play at all?
That's possibly. Hey, David, the Jaren test that you were just talking about, when it's a new moon, was the moon in the sky, or does he mean new moon as he means it's not even anywhere on the horizon? Meaning, is it just
at nighttime, is the new moon ever in the sky?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's just a black moon.
Yeah,
Right.
but how could it be in the sky? Wouldn't it be getting sunlight if it's in the
You-
night sky?
You can see a different type of blackness in the
Yeah,
sky.
yeah,
It's
that's
really
interesting.
strange.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. Maybe it's not even the light.
Maybe it's
there's
the,
a
maybe
lot
it's
of
the object itself.
Yeah, don't know.
Huh. All right. So we are we going with this? Are we
Going live?
going live?
I think we are live.
No, we're
No, we're
not.
not.
Yeah.
It says off
No, we're not.
there.
We are live.
Yeah.
Out there.
No, we're not.
No? But not
And are we in-
not on the Google Hangouts, I do it different. We are live on my channel, we have 34 viewers.
Yes.
Oh, so we've been live.
We've been live for 11 minutes already.
That's great.
It says off air. It
So
says
much-
off air.
Yeah, it says
That's
that in
because-
the Hangout, but
Because
I'm
the
streaming.
Hangouts, because he's not streaming to YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing something different, and I have an overlay on the screen now that says stuff about space, aliens, and the Hubble telescope, and also about the Earth and other planets.
Yes.
Ask
a long
us
time.
questions. Yeah, but that's just
Okay.
on the screen overlay.
Are you gonna put this? Are you gonna put this on YouTube later?
No,
I think
Mark,
it's recording it.
Mark, it's live on YouTube now.
If you don't, yeah, it's live now. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, go
Okay,
look on
I
my
get it.
channel, you will see it.
It's just the way that he's doing it. We're never gonna see the live button.
Yep, indeed.
Yeah, all right.
And we have a chat going too.
I'm screen sharing the Hangout and the audio from it.
Thank God I didn't start swearing.
I was gonna say, thanks for the uncensored warning.
Yeah. It's like,
But I told you that I was putting it live, but yeah, you don't see it.
all right, here are my top 10 fart jokes. Here we go.
Thank God I got dressed properly for this.
Anyway, so if people have questions about space, feel free to ask them. I will be happy to answer your questions.
I have a question about space.
Go ahead.
How did they land that rocket right side up in 30 knots and waves on a flat barge?
SpaceX? Yeah, come on. That's rocket
Magnet-
science, man. I can't explain rocket science in a hangout from 1 hour, 2 hours. If you have a week, I can explain you some parts of it. But it's
So,
very
I-
complicated.
I was watching that drone ship. I don't think you could stand up on that thing without holding on to something.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. Oh, by the way, David, were you the one that was circulating that picture supposedly of the rocket punching through the clouds that was taken from the ISS?
No. Well, I sent Patricia a clip. A friend put it on her Facebook page saying, "Oh, that's the coolest thing ever," and everyone's like, "Wow, that's really cool." All these people that have no idea. And I said to Patricia, I said, "Should I comment?" I was like, I didn't want to. You can't just throw flat Earth down. Everyone's. When people aren't prepared for it, I couldn't help myself, so I finally just wrote. I said it's an amazing shot. Unfortunately, it's fake. Right? Not saying anything flat Earth. And then she's like, "Oh, thanks for telling me. I thought something was wrong with the proportions." But I planted a
Yeah.
seed at least.
Well, the one photo was, and I'm not going to try to drag it into this. The way that one photo was altered, it had a couple filters on it where it was the focus was off in the back, and the clouds looked kind of super grainy, kind of like a textured carpet. But it was amazing how primitive the image looked. It was it's first time I looked at it, I was going, what is that supposed to be? What? A rocket going through the clouds from what altitude? Yeah, not buying it.
So when it takes off, I was watching. It takes off. There's a cloud develops, and it looks like the cloud of smoke, of fumes from the exhaust. It looks like it just stays static as the rocket carries on, going higher into the sky.
Oh, well, that one, the Russian one that they put out today, yeah. And was that you, Gio, who talked about that there was no thrust, there was no smoke in the trail, or was that somebody else?
Somebody else.
That's okay. Normally you see a heavy cloud, a heavy smoke cloud follow the rocket up, and in the Russian one, there was nothing. Well, yeah, not that one. That one, that's the photo I'm talking about.
That's the one that everyone was saying it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
I mean, one, if that is a real something shooting into the sky, which I seriously doubt it is, That's taken from like maybe 30,000 feet, 40,000 feet, maybe 50.
Yeah.
You know, it's not
I
from
can
the
tell you-
Now, you see that done with some old-timey photos, like from the 1800s, early 1900s. That particular effect that they're using, where you take the foreground and the very very back, you take them out of focus, and then you grain up some of the rest of it. But how they kind of make it is it's kind of like a simulated 3D stereoscopic way of doing it. But like, you notice like the shadow of the contrail is super defined, and which it wouldn't be.
And
Right.
it's also the pigmentation of the blue is too deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it does the it looks like it's just the shuttle. There's like the main rocket is gone. Or maybe it's still supposedly on. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all off.
Yeah, it looks like you're looking at something like it's microscopic by design. I've never seen. Yeah, it always creeps me out when somebody does that with those photos. Usually, though, they're old photos, which you see it.
Yeah.
Hey, David, have you switched your camera off? Oh no, you're showing this.
I was sharing, and now I gotta figure out how to end that.
I have never seen that picture before.
Yeah.
He was sharing.
I just wanted Sasha.
Yes.
So this is David's girlfriend, Paige. It's
We
just
go with
Sasha
that.
and I.
We met like 10 minutes ago.
Oh right, okay.
Hello,
Okay.
Paige.
It's this access.
Hello again.
Hello again, Paige. How are you? Where are you at on the globe Earth versus flat Earth?
Oh,
Yeah, that's right. Put it right to her. That's nice.
Right next to my BF there.
She knows. She knows.
Yes,
Good.
I'm a noble follower.
Nice.
Excellent.
Jeffrey Grupp posted a picture of his kids building a Lego city on this giant Lego table, this big, flat plane, and he just put it up on his regular Facebook page. And I try to, not to throw in, stuff on regular pages, but I couldn't help it. I just wrote, I was like, my kids are trying to do the same thing on a giant ball. It's just not working out so well. That's good.
Nice. That's excellent.
Yeah, I have a huge problem with SpaceX footage from the rocket that lands.
Oh, on
Yeah,
that
You know,
barge?
because one of my hobbies is doing RC planes and helicopters and everything that flies remote control. And I made all kinds of stuff, all different kinds of planes from scratch, all different kinds of shapes. And it doesn't make sense if you know anything about aerodynamics. Landing a rocket upside down doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's the most ridiculous thing ever. I actually sent it to somebody who's not a flat earther yet, and I said, without checking anywhere else, is this a real video from NASA or is it a fake video? And he's like, it's fake. He goes, that's not real. It's obviously fake.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Because wouldn't it tip over when it starts
There you
descending
go.
and slowing
Why
down? You'd have less thrust, so it would just.
It goes
Why
against
would you even
every-
use rockets?
Yeah.
You would use parachutes or something that keeps it on the top, or
In fact, you would slow it down with parachutes first.
Yeah, exactly.
And then maybe use something secondary. In fact, it goes against every science fiction movie and everything else we've ever used, which is you always, if you're going to land, if you're going to land something back down, the base has to be wider. It's not going to be top heavy. It just doesn't make any sense that you would try to compensate by using the same exact rocket, the same traditional rocket.
Do you know what I think they're doing? Okay,
No.
they, in inverted commas, with the Pentagon strike, there was actually somebody who went on TV who said that they watched the plane go in through the door and the wings folded back. Do any of you remember that?
That's the official story, but
Yes.
that person was lying.
Yes, absolutely, because the wings will have been traveling at 500 miles an hour in one direction and in an instant 500 miles an hour back. So it's just completely impossible. But that story was just basically laughing at people's lack of intelligence. And I think that's what they're doing with this. They're just laughing at people's lack of intelligence.
that. I agree. Am I presenting? Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
I mean, it's with these people. Now, do they really have people there that are watching a big screen clapping, or is that just all people in it and green screen?
I bet if you took the time, it was
No,
probably
that part is real, I think.
people. You know how the Earth is, the clouds are repeated.
Oh,
in the photograph.
She's saying that it's green
probably,
screen.
It's probably green screen.
I mean,
you can probably, if you study it, probably see a repeat of certain people during
maybe
certain things.
How is that? I mean, look how windy it is too. That's blowing like 30 knots out there.
Yeah.
You couldn't even stand up on that thing.
It would
How
tip over.
far offshore is that supposed to be?
Yep.
And let me throw another one in there. Why are they landing on a barge nowadays when all the human capsules are landing on dirt somewhere in Russia? Why do we even do sea stuff anymore if it's perfectly safe to land on hard dirt now?
I guess the reason is because they don't want anybody near it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And why do they need blankets while they are wearing a spacesuit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
when they come out, they wrap them in blankets. But meanwhile, the spacesuit works perfectly fine in space.
Yep.
Well, who was the girl who did the video about the zippers?
Yeah, I remember seeing that one, yeah. But I don't remember
So-
who made it.
So she was saying how the astronaut suits have zippers. Now I was thinking if the zippers are very well made, maybe with the water pressure that would work in their swimming pool, but that just wouldn't work in a vacuum, which is the point that she was making. I think was quite
Yeah.
right.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's the older suits, yeah. That would never work in a vacuum, a zipper.
So is there a resistance forming where we can find someone to represent the flat earthers and get a legitimate satellite or rocket into space and take a legitimate picture of the Earth so that, I mean, without getting shot down or getting killed in the process? I mean, that seems to be, the only thing that's going to really sway people to the truth is proof.
Well, it looks like the highest that it's possible to go is about 85 miles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It looks
That's
like that's the limit of height. Somebody sent a rocket up to get the world rocket for the world record for the highest ever private rocket launch, and it just stops. It's traveling up and it just suddenly stops. And to get something high enough to be able to properly establish that there's South America and there's Africa, I don't think it's possible to get that high up. I don't think you'll be able to capture that.
Because there's this dome over us, as is suspected, or is it because that at that level the missiles take it out, or the the bays take it out?
It's some force of some type, some energy, some barrier, whether that's an energetic barrier or
I don't know.
If you
Go ahead, Mark.
no, go ahead.
Okay,
Have you
so
guys-
I think even if you did manage to get a rocket up there and not have authorities shoot it down, I don't think that it would work as proof, because people don't believe because they see the one clip from NASA. People believe because there's this whole structure around it, and they've been taught it's a religious belief. So if you were to do that and put it online and say, look, the flat earthers got money together, they sent this rocket, and they show a flat earth, people would just say CGI, because it doesn't matter if you come up with one convincing proof. People will just discount it in the same way that people continue to believe that that rocket just landed vertically from where it took off. It's that same kind of thinking. People are just going along with their religious belief in science and in rocket space. So there's no point in spending, I think, the money and the resources to try to get a rocket into space that'll get shot down, because I don't think it'll be convincing to people who don't want to buy into an alternative theory.
I think.
What do you guys think would be? What could NASA do to prove it to us?
To prove that it's flat to us.
No, to prove that they're up in space.
They're
Forget
trying.
that. You're just a ball. Just prove that they're in space.
They're trying.
They have any interest in doing that? Why would they? Did anybody happen to see the UFO Congress about a year ago, where they got some old congressmen and all these people are going to go get the Congress to admit there was UFOs. And I mean, they got 50 years worth of research and 40 people that are reputable, and they got laughed out of Washington. What do you think would happen to us?
Conk, what is wrong with you? Your NADA logo is not behind you. You need to promote NADA, man.
Yes. Your NADA logo.
You look like
thingy there.
You look like a scientist today. That's good.
Are you trying to tell me you want to see my buddy?
Who's that?
I'm Marcus Aurelius tonight.
David, just in response to David's question, I think for NASA to prove it to me, they'd have to show me the physics and the math for all the other facts or theories that rely on a globe Earth. So for me, it wouldn't be enough for NASA to show me a video that's convincing. I would need to see, okay, well, how do all these other things that I've discovered don't work on a globe Earth? How does that work in your model? And I think that that's what's missing.
Do you all know my video about the rocket hitting the dome?
Yes.
It's my most famous video.
Yeah.
Was that the one shot up in Arizona?
It was the GoFast 2014 rocket. They claim it's the rocket that reached the highest altitude, or the amateur rocket that reached the highest altitude ever. It was around 70 miles.
Yes.
But the strange thing with the rocket is, all of a sudden, it stops. Like it's going up, it's turning, rotating, and then all of a sudden it stops and it makes a noise, and then it starts to descend again. And I don't think it hits the dome.
I think it's some a range of increasingly dense electromagnetic waves, but it stops like it has hit quicksand or something like this. It stops.
That's how it sounds and
suddenly,
looks.
Like instantaneously. That's how it stops, but it doesn't crumple. It doesn't, it's still transmitting the image. It's bizarre.
I had the video up for months and months, and I got thousands of comments. And I only got one reasonable explanation, and that's some sort of yo-yo D-spin system, and some sort of system they use for rockets to make it stop spinning. But then if you look at it closely, I don't know, because it also seems that it stops gaining altitude. It looks like it's still going up.
It does. It's not just that it stops spinning, it stops its elevation.
And they have been fighting and fighting to make me get a video, or make me take the video offline. It's suspicious.
Yes. But going back to your question, David, maybe if they took a fleet of high-altitude planes with a group of flat earthers on these planes, with all our cameras, to get as close as they can to the ISS, where we could see the ISS with our naked eye and take pictures, then maybe then we would accept that there's an ISS up there.
You'd still be seeing it through a window. You'd still be seeing it through a special space window that slightly distorts the image. So you still wouldn't know if you're seeing the real ISS in real space or if you're seeing an image projected on your window. Yes. And I think that their technology is so great. So that's why I was saying, like, I don't think an image, even if you think you're seeing it with your own eyes, I think I would need to see, because there's so many calculations that we've started discovering the flat Earth that just don't work on a globe Earth, right? There are all these discrepancies in the underlying understanding of related things, related science. So it's not enough to show you a picture. You have to say, well, what about the sun, the distance to the sun, these different effects of the sun, right? I don't know.
Yes.
Show. I know what I would want, because I haven't seen it. I mean, I'm asking for something that's never going to be there, which was, if you guys remember, the JAXA moon probe that was sent several years ago, where they supposedly sent HD cameras around the moon, and you can look up, and I used some of that footage in some of my Strange World stuff and some of the other things. Anyway, it showed an Earthrise, but I'd want to see actual time lapse going from the Earth to the moon and back, or heck, just from the moon to the Earth and back. We've never even seen that. I can't remember who it was. I don't know if it was Max Malone, who said, on top of all the other things we don't have a single spacecraft from any agency that's shown leaving orbit or returning to orbit.
Yeah.
You know, it cuts out. In fact, even the I don't remember who I sent it to. The or somebody sent me a video from, oh geez, it was late 90s, early 2000s, where there was a probe that was supposedly on its way to Mars, and it gets up at about 40 miles, and you know, it's looking the rear view in the mirror, you know, down at Earth, and you're thinking, holy smokes, we actually might see something, right? And all of a sudden it stops and it starts falling, and then Mission Control mentions that, oh yeah, by the way, the camera was on the second stage and it had to fall with the second stage, and the probe's going to continue from this point forward. I was going, really? And so this is a trick they've been using for a long time.
I think the best avenue for... Sorry, go on. I was going to say, I think the best avenue for helping people to wrap their heads around the flat Earth and the lack of globe is by exposing the peripherals. So the hoaxes, the vaccines, the fluoride, all of the other areas of life in which authority have told us something that is the opposite to the truth. When more people get to understand, like Gaddafi, for instance, the range of things that we've been told that are false, eventually all the 9/11 truthers and vaccination truthers, all these guys will eventually become flat earthers. They would just it just takes some longer than others.
Don't try to link those 9/11 crazies to flat Earth. They'll discredit us.
Nice.
But yes, I think that's the best way. Oh, Nathan Oakley. Sorry.
A simple thing for me would be get a live video chat like they do with news shows all the time with the guys on the space station. You know, all right, and let me say, all right, now float up to the ceiling. You know, all right, now grab that camera and point it out the window. You notice that when they ever go up, they never go and point out the window. They always go up and show another astronaut filming out the window. They don't show what's out the window.
Yeah.
So go, you know, do a 360, turn around, let me see the fourth wall. You know,
Yep.
little plug for you, Nathan. I mean, not Nathan, Antonio.
Mark.
Yes.
And that's it. I mean, show me the Earth. Tell me where you are. You know, show me float around for 5 minutes. That's it, without any edits. And if they can't do that, and that wouldn't even cost anything to do.
Yeah, and it's funny because the European Space Agency now is releasing 360 degrees views from the International Space Station.
Easily done.
But then it's just, that's it. It's just a still, it's not a video.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, stills don't count.
What about getting a billboard, renting a billboard and just saying the Earth is flat, like on a main highway? It would probably cost you maybe $5,000 for maybe a month, I don't know, to
Antonio,
advertise it.
Get it done, Antonio.
Yes.
Just propaganda. Just get it out there. Get in people's faces. A lot of people just,
But
they say,
eventually someone will do something like that. A lot of people keep waking up every day.
Need some more icebreakers.
Yes.
Somebody did a big graffiti on the seawall. Was it a seawall or something? Or they wrote flat Earth?
Yeah, I've got that picture. Hang on. It's how do I share again?
On the top left, the green arrow.
Okay,
open up the picture first, and then the green arrow.
Okay, give me a sec. Let me try this. I've never done this before.
So we gotta get it pumped up.
The T-shirts work, you know.
Yeah, but you gotta get like billboards, maybe sides of buildings.
Yes.
Then we get to the movie level. Then we get to bumper stickers,
Can you guys
license plates.
see that?
We got our marketing managers. There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
You guys can see this, or can't you?
Yeah, we can see it. Click the
Only
little
when
arrow
you
on
talk.
the left-hand corner of your icon, Mark.
I presented it. We can see it.
Everybody get it on their butt. Tap flat Earth tattoo
That's
on their
cool.
butt.
So that's those letters are 6 feet high, and that's out in Somerset, England.
Yes. Now, do you want to hear something crazy? You know how all the synchronicities just kind of really kick in when you get it.
Yeah.
So this happened this was done. Usually these are done at night time. This was done on the night that Nathan, me, and Sasha were talking, and I just mentioned about how things need to happen, not people graffitiing on a wall, but and then that night somebody put this on a wall, and I don't think it was somebody. I mean, it might have been somebody that was listening to us, but it might not. There's no way of knowing. It's just the collective unconscious.
Yeah, I'd love to know who did it.
Yeah.
I wonder if we know them. Of course, they can't come out publicly necessarily and say it, but
No.
still.
Do you know in the UK, you can burgle 3 houses and be caught for all 3. If you burgle a 4th house, you then go to jail for 12 weeks. You're let go 3 times. Okay?
How does that work?
Now, if you're caught once graffitiing, you don't even go to court. You were sent away for 12 weeks.
Huh.
Once caught graffitiing, that's it. Jail for 12 weeks.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. So the writing on the wall.
One thing I think is interesting is that I think the people that are in the Flat Earth movement now, people like us, we're people that are very persuaded by truth. And so we want proof, we want to be able to examine it and think about it, and we actually use critical thinking skills. I don't think we're representative of the majority of human beings. And so I think that the people that we're trying to convince, they don't care about facts and figures and proof, because that's not what sways them. They care about what everybody else around them believes. They care about what they're told to believe, not even what they're told to think is true, just believe is true. And so I think that we're going to be maybe missing an opportunity if we tackle this by trying to present arguments and rational reasoning. That's not what convinces people. If you've ever argued with someone who's from a different political stance than you are, you know that it doesn't matter what rational arguments you bring. They're just so solidly in their own religious kind of belief about their political position. And so I think with the Flat Earth, we're trying to convince people like us, but those people are already kind of joining the movement. If you want this to explode and get really big, you need to start thinking about your target audience. These are, I don't want to use the word sheeple, but these are people that are persuaded by different things than we're persuaded by. So that's why Antonio and Nathan and I talked about propaganda in Nathan's Fourth Wall Mechanics YouTube video, because that's what it takes. It takes the persuasion of belief. That's my input.
Yes. So, Sasha, you shared on Facebook a lovely, sexy bum with some information about the doctors who have been found murdered after exposing the cancer link to vaccines.
Yeah, and I'd like to talk about that because I was wrong in our conversation. So I shared the image to show how and why I was wrong.
Yes.
We talked about using propaganda that we see the globalists use that work, right? And they use sexy images and people just buy into that. But we can't destroy our own integrity and still expect to have integrity as a movement. So everyone is sharing this meme of vaccination, pretending that somehow that's getting the anti-vaccination message out, and it's just a woman being presented as a sex object to be taken from behind, and that doesn't help us to show women as sex objects that are just there for your pleasure, for your taking, that she's not even a human being, she's not a person, she's just a thing that you can own. What?
Speak for yourself.
No,
Good
but
woman. Us, we.
Sasha, what you're saying is really valid. So how about using, like I commented, chocolate or ice cream? The main thing is to get the idea out, because what happens down the road is somebody will be in a cafe eavesdropping on somebody else talking about vaccines and cancer, and they will not remember that they saw a picture of a cupcake with lovely frosting and information about it. They will not remember that. They will just remember that they read about it somewhere, and they might even join in on the conversation. That's why the propaganda is used with the sex. People pay up the attention to the sexiness. That's where they're focused, but the information goes in anyway. So it doesn't have to be sex. It can be chocolate, ice cream, puppies, rainbows, beautiful sunsets, anything that draws the spectator. The information goes in anyway. So I say, let's do that.
Yeah.
Hey, the perpetrator of that.
Wait. Pauze. Welcome, Nathan.
Nathan,
We have Nathan Opie.
Nathan.
How you doing?
Welcome to
Nathan.
my space show.
yeah,
Space show, huh?
my partner in crime.
Nathan, we voted, and we think it's you that did the flat Earth on the seawall, the big white flat Earth.
It was me.
We're pretty sure.
No, it's too far away. Definitely me. Antonio already took blame.
How you doing, Nathan?
Yeah, not bad. Pretty tired.
Your volume's pretty low.
Pretty low. I'll get a bit closer. It's because I'm on my rubbishy phone because it's a bit impromptu. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yep.
All I can do is get closer.
So here's the whole panel. David's here with his girlfriend, who's also a flat earther.
Hello, David's girlfriend, who's
Oh.
just left.
Strange. What happened
Oops.
there? Oh,
They will probably reconnect.
I caught the tail end of that last conversation. I heard the word sex and suddenly my ears pricked, of course. What were you talking about?
I don't.
you know, on the mechanics of the fourth wall, we at one stage. Hey, David.
She was shy.
I was like, you hit the wrong button. That was
No. I was just telling Nathan is married to a beautiful young woman who's a globalist, and I was just saying to Nathan, here's David with his girlfriend. She's a flat earther. You know, it's just
Okay.
It took a little MK Ultra and a little scopolamine, but I got her.
So Nathan, what we were talking about is Sasha shared on Facebook a
I saw.
photograph of a sexy model with some information about vaccines linked to cancer, and which goes back to what Sasha was talking about on the mechanics of the fourth wall, about not corrupting our values in order to use propaganda by the use of propaganda. That was what her point was.
Antonio, when you say that I shared the picture on the wall, can you please add the qualifier? I posted the picture on my wall, but with a comment
Oh yes,
showing
yeah.
my disapproval, because you're leaving that off, and it sounds like I'm promoting that. I put this up there. I put a qualifier saying that I don't believe that this is the appropriate approach.
Yes, this is what I was saying. I was saying that you were saying we should not corrupt our values in order to use the propaganda that the mainstream uses. That's what I was saying. That's what your comment basically does.
It's only so
explains.
low we should sink, and that's a bit too far. I mean, I saw
Yeah.
the post and read what Sasha put, or read what you put, Sasha, and yeah, it's sinking too far. You know, just putting a woman's bum with a thong just to promote something, doesn't matter what, if it's good or bad, it's just sinking too low. It's too much. It's the objectification of women in its truest form.
Yeah. So what I was saying is we can use cupcakes, puppies, rainbows, beautiful sunsets, beautiful panoramas, anything that draws the spectator, anything at all, because the wording, they will read the wording. At some point later on, they will overhear somebody talking about this thing that they read on a post. They haven't associated a memory to it. All that they will think is, I read about that somewhere, and it might then it will have the knock-on effect. All we need to do is posit ideas in the consciousness of people. It can be the unconscious, but it's still posited, and the more people, eventually it makes its way to the fore. And this is how propaganda works. First, the Jews were the best people, and then the Jews were the worst people, and things like this. It's always been the same way. It's through a drip feed action.
Do we draw the same line? I mean, I remember on that show you said something like, if you think the globe is great, wait till you get hold of the flat Earth. In other words, it was sort of play on words.
Yes.
Is that a step too far?
No, that's a jokey way of doing it. You see, you can joke, and joking, you can get away with so much as long as the joke works. So the point is, with that statement, if you think the globe is sexy, you're laughing at people's idea of sexiness. They will read sexy, and later on they might think, hold on, who said the globe was sexy? But you've put the idea of the flat Earth there. So really, you're poking fun at how easily manipulated they are by the word sexy. That's the joke. The joke is on them.
May I have 30 seconds?
Yes.
30 seconds, please.
Go ahead, yeah. Kong has an important message, probably.
Okay. Now, our competition, which is NASA, not to point this out, but if you remember I Dream of Jeannie, they sold NASA, they sold spaceships, and they sold the pussy, okay? You got to have the good-looking girl. Same way with Bewitched. They sold this witchcraft. Yeah, she's hot, Elizabeth Montgomery. They didn't have a picture of an apple saying, oh, be a witch, so you're not an apple. No, they had a beautiful woman because it works. It's nice to talk about different things, but for 5,000 years, it's worked. That's all.
There are
So
other things that work. No, sorry, there are other things that work. There are other means of propaganda that are effective. You have a choice of various methods of propagandizing, and to choose the one that uses me and my body to sell an idea that you want to sell has no integrity. And if that's what the flat Earth is being represented by,
the girls want to get paid. They do it for a paycheck, and that's why they do it.
no, that's not why they do it. They do it because they've been sold the idea by society that they don't have value, that their value rests in their sexuality, and they're made to feel that that's the only thing that they have to offer in exchange for money, in exchange for admiration, in exchange for attention. And to maintain and support that system, I'm getting all riled up. I'm sorry, but to propagate that idea, to tell people, I'm going to pay you so I can use your body to sell my idea, because you're okay with it. Well, why is she okay with it? She's okay with it because she's been raised in a culture that tells her that that's all she's worth. And I have a problem with that, and I just think that we need to think about the movement as a cultural institution, if that's what we want it to be. Are those the values that we want in the new society? That's not what I want.
But you know, with the propaganda, one of the most effective elements of propaganda that has been used by all modern era dictatorships and any fascist, any police state, they use caricature. So somewhere or other there will be in a newspaper a caricature of that which is being targeted. So with the Charlie Hebdo, it was the Muhammad with a bomb, and the caricatures are one of the most effective. They were used against the Jews in Germany and in various different places. It's been used against the Jews as a counter propaganda by Jews. Jewish people, the Jewish mentality is very, very capable of accommodating itself, and they have used caricatures that have been drawn by Jewish artists to say, look at how easily you're made to hate the Jews. You know, so caricature can be used very, very cleverly. I'm just not a very good caricaturist because once you start drawing in caricatures, you start seeing the features exaggerated in people, and it takes a long time to get out of that. It's not nice. So, but if anybody knows any characters,
Sasha, a quick question: when is it acceptable? I mean, there's obviously a desire for men to see. Let's forget the context, so forget the message that was on that picture that you showed, and I will highlight straight away that you are highlighting that picture in a negative way. But yeah, nonetheless, that picture we talked about pornography on Fourth Wall. Is that acceptable? In other words, because it's in the right place, is it okay to objectify women there, where men are also being objectified? Is there in other words, because it was used purely to promote a different idea other than that woman's beauty, is that why it's unacceptable? Therefore, when you put it into a different context, it becomes acceptable, or is it just never acceptable?
It's such a complicated thing because the intent of the viewer, the intent of the poster, the norms of the society in which that's viewed, these things all kind of come into play. A woman who has a beautiful body, if you're seeing a picture that she's given you of her beautiful body and you're appreciating it and you're finding it extremely erotic and it's getting you off, that's very different from seeing an image of a woman that you don't know, that you don't think about, that you don't care about. You just see something that's sexually nice and you just want to have it. And it's not about a person, it's not about the value of the person as a human being. It's really something that you want to take, and it's an object, and it gives you pleasure, it gives you a sense of power, it gives you that thing that you can't actually have in real life. And I think it's a very complicated issue, and I think I don't want to take on the whole subject of is pornography good or bad, or is sharing a pornographic picture with your lover good or bad, because I think that that's too complex to really kind of bring down into a 30-second soundbite that I can share with you here. But I think that to dismiss all of that, to try to just say, let's not worry about it, this works and let's use it, I think that's problematic.
There's a problem also with your stance, which is if you, let's say you became queen of the world and you made that kind of image unacceptable, we would arrive at a Muslim type dress code.
But I'm not saying that I'm not trying to control to that level. And this is why I said that there's intent. When I go to the grocery store, if I'm wearing this and I'm showing cleavage and people make rude comments, then I accept my responsibility in that. But when I go to the grocery store and I'm wearing a gray baggy sweatshirt and I'm trying to hide kind of my body because I just want to do what I need to do and then go home again, I still get creepy, gross guys that comment on what they would like to do with or to my breasts, even though I'm doing everything I can to play them down, to minimize them. And so that's a part of that culture. And so, and it's this idea that they think that that's okay. And so it's not about saying it's never okay to show your body. I like feeling attractive, and I like that people are nicer to me when I'm more attractive, so then I want to kind of live in that nicer world. But it's really hard to put all that responsibility on me to know where the line is. Something that you think is sexually attractive and nice, and then you think, oh, you look nice today, Sasha. Another man will actually call me whore as I walk down the street because I'm wearing that. And then another man will look at me and say, you're frigid and you're uptight and you think you're an elitist because you're wearing your little blouse all tied up to your collar. And so if I cover up, I'm judged to be an elitist, uptight, B-I-T-C-H, and if I show my cleavage, then I'm a trashy whore. So it's really hard for women to find that middle line.
Yes, but Sasha, you don't have to.
I do, because I want to be able to interact with society in a way that I feel valued and attractive, because we all want that. I'm going off on a rant. I apologize. I'm in a weird mood today because of that whole Facebook thing this morning, so I'd like to apologize to everyone on the panel and to the audience that I'm going off on a weird, crazy rant.
Don't worry about it. You're making some really good points.
I mean, I think you've got an exceptionally good point. I mean, what you're trying, I'm reading between the lines and trying to boil it down, but what you're effectively saying is when we use, hold on, it's all going crazy, when we use memes of naked women, that moulds the social acceptability and therefore will have a direct and adverse effect on you, on your day-to-day life. So if you're all right there, buddy?
Go ahead.
You got it sorted. Right, so if you've got a opportunity to mould the way our social structure is done, at least in the flat Earth, we can say, well, we feel it's unacceptable to have a picture of a flat Earth displayed on a woman's cleavage because that will mould our current social standing to promote those ideas even further. When we're at a time, we're at a crossroads, we're at a time of discovery, and a time that we have to, make our own rules to a certain degree. So we can say this isn't a good thing to have in our movement. We shouldn't be promoting flat Earth or globalize using naked girlies.
Yes. So, but Sasha, when you were giving your description, then you said if you go out dressed a bit sexy, you assume responsibility. You don't have to. You don't have to assume responsibility for other people's actions. If somebody's rude to you, they're a crass person. It's not you that's making them rude. They were rude before you arrived. You don't have to accept responsibility or assume responsibility. You can control yourself. You can't control them. You can control yourself, including controlling the thought that you should accept responsibility and telling that thought to be quiet. You have the right to go about however you want. And if somebody is abusive, then you get your phone out and you phone the police. That's it. Just how people's behavior is modified. Once their parents have not set down the boundaries, society has to set down the boundaries, the wider society. And unfortunately, the extreme, the actual authorities that we so detest are that final barrier, that they are the final border. So when somebody abuses someone with a comment that's abusive, that's a crime, especially in Canada. It's a crime. You can literally phone the police and say, you're not going anyway, sorry, to the guy that's done it, and call the manager and involve people. This will have a knock-on effect on that guy. You can think, no, it might not, it might not. It doesn't matter. He will be spending a few hours in a police station answering questions. Trust me, that will have an effect that's much better than you telling yourself that you shouldn't have worn this today.
I don't know. I think it's confusing. I think it's, as a woman, I'm getting different messages, and it's really confusing. I'd love to hear what Paige has to say.
I have a question. How come you can say whore, but you can't say bitch?
You can. Who said you can't?
Because I spelled it out.
But then 2 seconds later said whore. And I'm just wondering, that's kind of sexist, I think. And,
in the spirit of the flat Earth being flat-chested, I can't really empathize with what you have experienced. Actually, but I understand where you're coming from.
I'm right there with Antonio that, people have bad attitudes and are miserable, and if you react to them and become miserable or nasty back, you've just become just like them. They have a bad attitude, that's their problem. Don't make it your problem.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it's difficult, and I understand that it's difficult for you because of your conditioning, which you don't have an option of choosing. I will not be affected by this, I will be affected by that, not this, not this. I'll think about, that's not how conditioning works. So your environment dictates how you're going to be conditioned and how you respond to that conditioning.
Yeah,
so absolutely, of course you're mixed up. Because
and that's why I think for flat Earth propaganda, let's be sensitive about what we're using, because we know that it does confuse people, because we know it has an effect, because like you're saying, there's a conditioning effect. So if I am all for using propaganda for the flat Earth, if you can put flat Earth posters on bus stops, any kind of public space, if you can just stick your little flat Earth sticker with one of the flat Earth maps, I support that.
Why don't
Did you
we
see what
make...
Mr. Flat... Sorry, I was going to say, did you see what Mr. Flat Taxi Rainbow Chemtrails does? So he's made some flat Earth sticky tape. It's just a roll of tape that's clear with the words flat Earth over and over again. And he just goes around sticking it places. So he did like a little short video of him where he stuck it on a London phone box. So it suddenly becomes the flat Earth phone box. Just things like that. I thought that was quite
actually
cool.
went to order some, but he only sells it in Europe. So that I think it's fantastic because you can stick it anywhere.
Well, I'm sure if you got in touch with him, he'd send you a roll.
I think he sells it on eBay. So if you look up flat Earth sticky tape,
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I love it.
Yeah.
Nathan and I have been making T-shirts, and people have been getting them.
Antonio knew.
And it starts a great conversation.
Yes.
I take full credit. It was all my idea. I did the design work. I did this marketing. I did the resourcing. It's all me. I mean, what can I say?
Do you guys sell them?
Good.
It's
feel free to plug it.
No, and you know what? It's not about. It's about getting T-shirts cheap. Make your own T-shirt. But if you make one T-shirt, it costs you like $40. But if you do it on the Teespring, TEESPRING, the more people that buy them, they wait till a certain number are ordered and then they print them. So this is the latest one, and I love it. Like, I wear my NASA fake station shirt. It's great. People, it starts a great conversation, and then you just plant a little seed, and then they come back a couple days later to like, I was looking into this, and I'm like, good luck, and
Cool.
it's fantastic. It's so much fun.
Aren't there parts of the world that have kind of always known this or always subscribed to this? Because until I think Christopher Columbus came along and said, "No, the Earth is round. You're not going to fall off the edge. I've sailed it. It's round." I mean, the Mayans, the Peruvians, the people who've been around for a long time and worshiping the right things and knowing what's going on, are they just sort of like, "Yeah, you guys, we know this. Welcome to the club," or is it still kind of an awakening all around?
We're very West centric. We assume that the rest of the world functions as we function. That we have propaganda dictated by the state and various different things. There are countries out there that have known all along that it's flat. The Phuket word.
Hang on, Gio. I think I'm still presenting. Can you unpresent me?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Antonio.
So there's a guy called Phuket World who's in Thailand, and he mentioned that when he told his wife about the flat Earth, she said, "Yes, everybody knows."
True. Yeah.
So that's Thailand.
Interesting.
Yeah, something interesting came up on I think it was John LeBon's comments, and it was about Africa. And I had to point out that Africans still get. My dad was a teacher in Africa, so they certainly get Western teachings. But I remember maybe 10 or 15 years ago, there was a big campaign to get them clockwork radios, and the propaganda surrounding it was to try and stop or stem the spread of AIDS. So we need to get the news to them. But you think, well, getting a radio to them is just the same principle. It's just getting propaganda to them, and wind up means that they can all have it.
I think that we should make a fake space agency, make a website, make pictures, videos. If you're good at faking space, we can hire you. You can make pictures for us.
We could probably do a way better job than NASA's doing.
Yeah,
I have a surprise.
Conk, if Conk is still here,
Yeah?
he made the perfect logo already. He invented nada, which means nothing.
Yes.
Because if you do a thing like that, a lot of people would help. It gets in the search results. If people start to look for space, the more stuff you put out, the more keywords you will list, the more people will bump into it. And it's not flat earthers you reach with stuff like that.
And do you know what else nada means?
Yeah, it means nothing.
Yes, but it means two things. It's one of the few Spanish words that has more than one meaning. It means nothing, as in nothingness. It also means swim, the command to swim.
Sorry, Conk, I'm presenting now. I'm not paying much attention. You see the NADA logo behind him?
Yes.
Come on, show us. Yeah, see? It's awesome, right? So we have a logo already. SpaceX.
Is Mark listening in? Because Mark might know if there's like other countries.
Yeah, I
that
don't
are
hear
just
Mark anymore.
No. That I like the NADA idea. By the way, creating a fake space agency. That's awesome.
Yeah, and we have so many flat earthers right now. Everyone is connecting on Facebook. Everyone knows everyone. I'm sure that tons of people everyone can use Photoshop these days, you know.
It could.
Space agencies, they're dating outfits. They're for dating, not for space. There's no such thing as space. Everybody knows that.
I just want to announce to you guys, next winter, I am going to trek all the way across Antarctica, and I'm going to document it the entire way. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be easy, and I'm never going to leave my backyard to do it.
You have a down vest.
What
What's
is that?
You have a goose down vest. You better take one.
That's all I need. A goose down vest, some water, a tent so I can take some pictures of myself inside the tent. And I'll just stand out in the snow, take another picture of myself, and I'll show you my compass.
Oh, I get it. I get it. I
mean, they can do a much better job than the crap one that the guy that supposedly died when he was almost there, but now he's dead.
Yeah.
I can make a ceremonial South Pole.
Kind of like all the rich guys that shoot rockets up in the air for a couple of years. They're going to take people up for $100,000 a pop, but all of a sudden you don't hear nothing for a long time. Then there's a new guy going to do the same thing, and then guess what? Oh, he's kind of going by the wayside too. So now we got a bunch of guys with nickels in their pockets talking about building a rocket.
Yeah, many of those companies showed up in the last 10 years. Like the Mars 1 mission, people could sign up to go to Mars, pay like $50, and then 100,000 people sign up, and then you hear nothing anymore about it.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I walked into the wrong place. I thought I was in a flat Earth meeting. I did not know it was...
No, it's about space. It's still about space. Don't worry. You can stay.
Yeah, we had a mission.
I feel like she touched my mind inappropriately.
Yeah, I was going to say we had the Beagle, didn't we, that we sent over to Mars, and it crash landed there, and that was the end of that.
But that's space agencies. Now you have companies that show up out of nowhere. I made a video about the Mars 1 mission, and I looked into that company. It was like 1 year old when they started the mission. It's a totally new company, and it's run by 4 guys. And they take millions in money for promise. They promise something that is 10 years in the future. They take millions in profits, and then you hear nothing anymore about them.
With SpaceX, I was kind of thinking, Elon is obviously, he has all this money, so I suspect that one of his aims is just to buy influence with the different governments or with the US government, because now he has maybe the evidence of the flat Earth, so he can probably use that for leverage, right?
Could be so, yeah.
Did anyone see? I think it was Tim Peake or whatever. He was being interviewed on some show with some kids, and one of the kids had sent up an experiment. It was basically just like a circular track, and he's supposed to spin a ball on it. And the kid had it in the classroom. You put the ball on it, of course, the ball settles to the bottom. And they go, yeah, Tim's got this experiment. He can't do it live, but he filmed it earlier. I mean, did you guys see that? You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, he did it in front of the chroma key. Yeah, he cuts to the chroma key, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, why couldn't he do it live? I mean, he just has to go like that.
Interesting.
It's so pathetic that people will accept this. And you know what? I was talking to Paige earlier, and I think just the problem is that human beings as a race are trusting. We naturally want to trust people. And the thing is, if you wear a white lab coat, you're authority. If you work for NASA, you're an authority. As Mark Dice goes out there, if you have a clipboard and a pencil, people will give you their social security number. That's all you need.
Yeah. And
Hey, David.
more.
Yeah.
Are you holding one of those ionizers that I wanted to get?
Oh yeah, this one right here.
Yeah, can I have a look?
Yeah, they're really awesome. Here, check it out.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Can I keep it?
You need to talk
Yeah,
also.
I never get tired of that.
Never gets old.
I need to work on it. I need to pull it down like
Yeah,
this.
there you go. Yeah, that's much better. You're a little slow. You gotta get the pass. All right, enough of that.
Oh.
I mean, in Skype you can see it in 2 windows at the same time. It's
Mm.
difficult in the Hangouts.
Yeah. So I think Bob from Globebusters is in the chat, or at least he's watching. I just wanted to say, hey Bob, how are you doing?
Cool.
Hey, Bob.
If anyone wants to join, just ask me in the chat. And the moderators are doing an awesome job because I don't see any trolls, which is pretty weird.
Yeah, it's Malaf Cocktail.
Yeah, I made a bunch of people moderator. But I also don't see bans, so I don't think the trolls showed up today. Which is sad.
Stock Jockey is asking if that was CGI that we just did.
I don't trust it. It's in my own Hangout and I don't trust it, so it probably is.
Hey, I have a surprise for all of you. This week I'm doing a video, a special video. So it will be ready soon. But I mean a special video. An expensive video.
Antonio, give me my thing back.
Okay.
Give me my thing back. I need it back.
Okay.
Pass it to me. Give it to me. I need it now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. There you go. A little too soon. All right. We're done. We're done. That's the last time, everybody. Thank you. We'll be here all night.
Tip your waitresses.
That's
it. That's all you're going to tell us about the video. That it's going to be special and expensive.
Yes.
Yeah, continue. But I think I know. You told me already.
Yes.
Was that in private?
Well, beans, Antonio. Maybe give us a bit more. Whet our appetite a little bit more than that. Come on.
Okay. This week I will be going to the moon.
Awesome.
So yeah, and no, really, it's, what it is I have a group of friends who have a video production company, and they have a job which involves green screen, and they're globalists, but they're some of my closest friends. So they said to me, look, seeing as though we're going to be setting up the green screen for these clients, why don't we come and do a video of whatever you want? So, and it's free, you know. I just want to put it out there for all the people who think that we are all making a fortune from the flat earth, for all of those people, so that they'll think, look at how much money they're making. That must have cost a fortune.
But also, it'll show, you know, that NASA can do it on the cheap. You know, it doesn't have to cost billions of dollars to actually produce it.
I will be wearing this. I won't be in a spacesuit, you know.
So yeah, that saved you a few quid.
Mm-hmm.
You can use a tinfoil hat.
Yes. Oh, yes, I will. For the radiation.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. So, we're also going to do some bloopers for the end of the video. We've already planned them, you know, so they're not going to be bloopers. But yeah, including me doing you know, when Tim Peake turns over in the air. We're going to film that, but it's going to be me on the floor on a green sheet, turning over, all awkward. But I don't want to say any more.
Yeah.
You know,
Is there any new flat Earth news, Mark? You're normally got your finger on the flat Earth pulse. What's new?
I don't know what to tell you at the moment. I just uploaded my last interview with another podcast, and I scour it every day. Today's not too interesting.
What was the video?
No, it was just me doing somebody else had interviewed me, so it wasn't anything super great. I've just been kind of looking and seeing who's been sticking out lately. What I've really been doing, other than of course you know, trying to do subject matter experts, is see who's out there with big hit counts, kind of like what you guys were saying, you know, people that aren't into flat Earth, that are addressing flat Earth, and it's amazing who's getting, you know, where these little pockets of hits come from, like that girl Sasha and I were talking about, that young girl, I think she was maybe 12, who does parody videos, and she said, the Earth is flat, and she had like 90,000 subscribers, which isn't terrible, and then she got picked up by a kid, like a Jersey Shore wannabe kid who he had 500,000 subscribers, and he launched a thing against her video making fun of it, and then other people were picking up on his stuff, and so it spreads in interesting ways, stuff that you couldn't predict. So that's been the traction over the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, which has been fascinating. So he's getting a lot of hits, and it's, again, that's what I've really been kind of looking at, just the little pockets. Kind of like when the Neil deGrasse Tyson B.O.B. thing happened, I've spent a good 2 weeks going through all the music people that were covering the B.O.B. thing, from, podcasts that were ranging anywhere from 30,000 subscribers up to like 5 million subscribers, and going into them and, just rubber stamping it, but making sure that people knew that we were there. And that was kind of fun. So that's what I've really been kind of focusing on lately.
Does it surprise you when people like, I think Scarecrow was being woken up by Tila Tequila? Does that amaze you? Because obviously there's no such thing as bad publicity, but she's a specific person that's come out and people were umming and ahhing about whether she should have a good effect, but she has. She's woken people up, literally.
Yeah. I was really hoping, and I planted the seeds a few places, but I was really hoping that not Bruce Jenner's alter ego, but his daughter, Kylie, is that the right name? Kylie Jenner. She was a conspiracy person. I was really hoping, she had like 3 million Twitter followers or something like that. I was kind of hoping that she would jump on it early, because again, and even no publicity, with the exception of trying to turn the Flat Earth movement into either one, a serious religious cult. No, not poking at you, Sasha, because I know that turning it into a different religious cult is a whole different thing. But or connecting it to some sort of terrorist cell. Yeah, that would be bad publicity. But even that, I don't think would be. It'd make us infamous, but it would get the word out there, that's for sure. I mean, I honestly wouldn't. I know you guys would probably disagree, but if they said that I had ties to ISIS, I don't think I'd shy away from it that quickly. I think I'd let it simmer for a while, and then I might come back and say, no, that's ridiculous, probably.
Hey, let me give a shout out, please, to that Scarecrow who's there in the chat.
Oh, he's actually here as we're talking
about.
Yeah,
I thought when he was on Patricia Stay's show and she dropped, she was having the connection problems and she dropped. I thought he handled that really well. I don't know what I would have done, I would have probably just closed my laptop. I don't know, But I thought that was well handled.
How much time have you dedicated to ripping about the little 5-second outsert from Obama then, Mark? Because, I mean, it hasn't got talked about half as much as I thought, and I thought it was quite a little
You're right. The mainstream, really, we were the ones, we jumped on that Obama mention, which he did, what was that, a week ago, where he goes, and it was so strange because it was it wasn't just a White House lawn thing. He was addressing a room full of reporters. So when he says, in that weird roundabout way where, it parroted what Neil deGrasse Tyson said, which is, if I talk about what do you say, the globe Earth, the Earth being round or whatever, and other people say that it's flat, you probably should. He's basically hinting you probably should pound on the flat guys with scientific evidence. But he wouldn't. But it still was very wishy-washy, which was strange. But the mainstream media didn't talk about it. Nobody talked about it in the mainstream. I was looking for it. I was looking for any pickup, and you'd think that somebody just on happenstance would pick it up, and they didn't do it. So it makes you wonder if they're testing the waters, and they're just kind of feeling it out. I don't know what they're doing, but that kind of caught me off guard because we all saw it right away. It wasn't even a few hours, and all of a sudden it was all over our circles. But mainstream never picked it up. I'll do some more searching though. But every day now I have to do secondary searches in the main search engines, not just YouTube. And then now I also do variations. Not only do I look for flat Earth, but I also look up Earth is flat, because that usually follows like this crazy person or group says that the Earth is flat.
Gotcha.
So that's what I do.
Yeah.
Is it always that then? This crazy person says that the Earth is flat.
Usually, yeah. Usually that's it. Insert
I love you.
name here. Someone you should laugh at publicly. Thinks the Earth is flat, and
This
most
idiot
notably,
thinks it's flat, and that idiot thinks it's flat. That's all we get from the mainstream.
most notably is this girl. Hang on, I can tell you, Earth is flat, and her channel is called. I think it's called Our Third Life. And again, you know, it's amazing. And what's fun for me to watch with this particular group is they're young. I mean, they're all sub 21, and most I think are like sub 18. And granted, their attention span isn't very good, but they like spreading. They're not shy about spreading stuff around to make fun of it. You know, they're all sub 21, and
Oops.
who's echoing?
It was me.
I
My
want-
bad.
Oh, it's okay.
I want to give a shout out also to Jess Sinclair, I believe is a channel. He has a new Flat Earth channel, and he made a video about Patricia and Mark and everyone. A lot of the Flat Earthers, and everyone should watch it. He makes very good videos. And what he said about Mark is that Mark is the only one that has put out so many proofs from, like, people in the army, people that fly a plane, whoever, people that know about all the valves on the ISS.
That just you know, that's not entirely true. Patricia's done a couple. She
Yeah,
was
okay,
the,
but you probably did most of them.
I did most of them. That's true. Controversy 7 got a pilot. I think he was a German pilot.
Right. Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to say.
But you
the
know,
reason
that's
why-
important for a lot of people, you know. Some people
It-
want proof like that.
It is, and thank you. But the reason why these people have contacted me mostly was because I was easy to get a hold of. You know, I
Yeah.
put my email at the end of my videos, where it's like, look, you want to track me down? Here it is. And they do. They call me. They're usually not shy. They'll leave messages. And yeah, some of them will be anonymous when they go on air. But the rest of them, I mean, you've seen them. Yeah, all the military forces. That's why, and it's been ratcheting. It's been progressive. So that's what I'm ISIS really.
That's a quick question, Mark, about
Oh,
proofs of something. It came up in conversation on one of the comments about Polaris moving, and I'm pretty sure one of your guys that you interviewed, Sean, had set up a little experiment where he had like 2 planks of wood with a hole, and he filmed Polaris for a very long period. Do you
Right.
remember that?
He
Was
said
that
he was
Sean?
trying to. Yeah, Sean McCrary. He was literally the first testimony subject matter expert that I got from the United States Navy. He was the missile instructor, the guy that did the very clever thing. So to validate, I loved what Sean did, where not only did he come out and talk about it, but he just to verify himself, he filmed himself flying to his ship, you know, via helicopter, and then filmed himself in a Sparrow missile training room, which I've never even seen before. I don't think most people have seen what the inside of a. I was thinking, geez, he could get in trouble for that. And just to make sure, you know, he writes on that cocktail napkin, you know, Flat Earth Mark Sargent, just to make sure that people knew that he was doing it live. And it's like, wow, it's really, really great. But he did an experiment where, yeah, for months he did a big time lapse where he had fashioned a camera and he was shooting the Polaris, the Polestar. But when he was rendering it, something I think happened because he never did get it to me in any sort of format. He couldn't. So you know what? I'm going to ask him again just to make sure because that was a long.
From the interview though, from what I remember from your interview with him, he actually said, "I've been doing it for months.
Yeah, and it never moved.
It doesn't move an inch.
It never moved. And really, you know, the more people that have been kind of talking about, we didn't talk about in the beginning was the parallax scrolling. If people don't know what that means, it's when you're driving in a car and the telephone poles are moving by you very quickly, but the mountains in the distance aren't moving by you as quickly because they're so far away. We should be seeing that with stars. At some point or another, we should be seeing this with stars. At the very least, fine, you may not even see it. You know, they say, oh, it's too far away. You may not see it in your lifetime, but you can't tell me all the constellations are in the perfect same formation for thousands of years. You know, these constellations that have been passed down from generation to generation, and not one has moved out of place even in the slightest. You know, all the drawings are line up perfectly every time, even with all that speed. it seems pretty unlikely.
Hmm. Yeah, have you used an astrolabe?
Have I?
Yeah.
No, not me.
No, I have. Robin Poe's talking about it recently, and I'm sure way back when they used to get kids to actually make these things, but you can track the whole thing. It's like you describe it like a clock, and it's just so predictable.
Good point. Oh, by the way, I should probably mention this before I forget. Thanks for the opening, Nathan. Robin Poe was the one that suggested it, which is she wants to do a Northwest version of Patricia's Flat Earth Mixer, where Patricia's going to meet up at a restaurant. And if anyone wants to do it up in the Seattle area on the same day as Patricia, just email me, msargent23@comcast.net, unless you know Robin's email address. You can email her. We're going to do it on the same night. I'm in the process of picking a restaurant. I think it's going to probably be Arnie's down in Edmonds. And then I can recommend some hotels if you're coming from any distance away and you don't want to drive home. So there you have it. 22nd, same sort of deal.
And I'll be
Okay.
attending as well.
I wanted to say not only parallax is a problem, but also this. This is something you don't hear often on a lot of channels, or not many people mention this. But the Earth rotates once every day, so after 6 months, the sun should be on the other side of the globe.
No, but Shifter, I've seen this meme a lot in the Flat Earth, but this is incorrect because there's the solar day, and then there's the,
Yes.
I never know if it's sidereal or sidereal.
Yes.
And
Sharonism did a good video on it.
So there's a 4-minute difference. And so
Yep.
by the time, the theory that the globe model sets forth is that by the time you get to the other side, those 4 minutes have added up so that you're still facing the sun at noon.
Yeah, but that
So it's
also
not-
means that we should change our clock every day with 4 minutes.
No, because you're...
I don't
The-
understand it, so...
That's right. So there's the Earth rotates around the sun and around its own axis. But so there are 2 points of reference. You can look at the sun being the point of reference around which the Earth goes around a circle and it comes back to the same place facing the sun. Or you can take a distant star, which is just kind of saying a point outside, and you can calculate going around the axis once relative to that distant star, right? And so what happens is, for the Earth to make a full circle, it takes 4 minutes difference than for the Earth to make a circle and get lined back up with the sun. So you wouldn't have to change the clocks. I think if people Google or Wikipedia SIDEREAL, sidereal day versus solar day, and they can kind of read about it and see, and that's why it works. And I'm just saying this because I don't think the Flat Earth community should be saying, oh, here is a proof of the Flat Earth, when it's not a proof that the globe model doesn't work.
Is this why we have leap
Yep, but I
years?
researched it for a while and I never understood it. You should really... Sharonism made a video about it a long time ago, and I can explain it as good as he does, but in that video he points out what he thinks is wrong with the sidereal time, and it made a lot of sense to me. But I don't know. It's just something I never really understood.
Geo, can you present the image that you just showed with the 2 Earths and the sun in the center?
Yeah, hang on.
I want to explain something.
Oops. See it now?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to start talking about the Earth to the right of the sun. That Earth has a range of constellations visible from dusk till dawn. That range of constellations, looking from a point on the globe as you rotate, those constellations are available in, say, the summer. When we're on the left side of the orbit, so we're now on the globe on the left, the constellations available dusk till dawn, so the same nighttime period, is a completely different side of the cosmos, but we don't have that in the real world.
Yeah.
That's more of a proof, because the whole sidereal day thing, I see what Sasha's saying. It's not proof either way because you can't prove it. but Jaron did a great video on this where, you're looking at one side of the universe, and then on the other side, you should not see a single of the same stars. You could argue that maybe directly above you might be able to see a star, but I can't even make that argument.
And not only that, but either the northern hemisphere could have the Milky Way rotate across the sky, but not the southern hemisphere on the globe, according to the globe theory. Either the north have it, or the south have it, or have it 6 months of the year available and not the other 6, because they tell us that we're entangled within the Milky Way and therefore cannot look out of it. It's like, no, that's a nonsense. If you take perspective into account, we should be able to look towards the center of the Milky Way at some point and directly away from the center of the Milky Way at another point. That can be dictated by your latitude or season, but neither of those things actually happen in the real world.
Yeah, I never.
I have a request. Gio, did you want to say something on this subject? I have another topic.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a video that I want someone to make because I can't make it. So from around December 7th to January, I think it's around January 7th, there's a month period there when the sun is in the outer, wider loop, as we understand it on the flat Earth, and the days are getting shorter as we approach December 21st in the northern hemisphere. They don't just get shorter by the sun sets a little earlier and rises a little later. It actually shifts forward in time during that month. So instead of, setting a minute earlier and rising a minute later, it sets at the same time and rises 2 minutes later, if I'm getting that right, on whether it's lengthening or shortening. So what that proves is that something is changing speed, whether it's the Earth spinning or the sun moving. It's changing speed. As it's getting farther away, that's making the days shorter for us. But it's changing speed. We know it's not the Earth changing speed because we would feel that. We'd feel anything. So if somebody can plot that out, maybe in AutoCAD or make a video showing how that is only possible by the sun changing speed. Because it's not, in the flat Earth model that I believe is, the sun goes around the Tropic of Cancer, at 360 degrees around in 24 hours, and to do the same thing in the Tropic of Capricorn, it's got to be going a lot faster. Well, that speeding up and slowing down isn't perfectly in sync with what we observe. And so there's a month there where it's shifting, where it's just finishing speeding up, and then it starts to slow down as it comes back in. So that to me is undeniable proof that the sun is changing speeds.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
that was interesting, David. I'm going to think about that one more.
That video.
Can I ask an open-ended question to everybody?
Sure.
It just kind of follows on to a conversation we had with Jeff Stewart yesterday, and we were kind of saying, or Antonio did a kind of thought experiment. He said, if it was 200 years from now and we all understood that we lived on the flat plane, what was the steps that took us from now to there, so we could conceptualize it. And Jeff Stewart said it'll take years and years and years to undo the programming. And GeoShifter contradicted him completely and said, no, I think as soon as you've got the truth, people can wake up once they see it. So I kind of wanted to ask that to everybody. I mean, what do you think? Do you think it will take a very long time to wake people up? Or do you think there could be Madonna says the Earth is flat and the next thing you know, everybody wakes up?
Yeah, what he said is that it takes a very long time to brainwash someone, and an even more longer time to unbrainwash someone.
Yes, and that's not true. It's the other way around.
I think also, yeah.
It takes 7 days to unbrainwash someone. This
Yeah.
Tupac's last album was called Killuminati, the 7-Day Order, or the 7-Day Rule. And it was to do with the deprogramming. Kathy O'Brien, who wrote a book, The Transformation of America, trans being as in induced mental state, hypnosis, trance. She was deprogrammed by the guy who deprogrammed her, who works for the CIA, and they've gone around and spoken about Hillary Clinton's all kinds of stuff. She was one of the MK Ultra women. So he explained the deprogramming and how long it took. It took him 2 weeks, but that's because she was at the breaking down stage of the programming, by which point people who have been programmed to serve as MK Ultra messengers, who will be literally programmed with a keyword, receive the information, be closed with a keyword, make their way to the person they have to pass the information to, have the keyword, receive the information, and then have the keyword again to close that, and then the woman has no idea what's actually happened. It gets to the point in their mid-30s, early to mid-30s, where that programming starts to break down. They start to have snippets of memories of the programming taking place, and usually these people commit suicide, or they try to alert the authorities and they're placed in a psychiatric ward somewhere, or are killed. So when the programming is breaking down, it's much harder to deprogram. So he explains it took a while longer than normal. So GeoShift is totally right. The deprogramming is much faster than deprogramming. But the question that Nathan has just put across, if I can just reword it, let's imagine that they make a magic pill that means that we will all live for a further 200 years. And at the end of our 200 years, we have grandchildren and great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren, and maybe even more. And at school, they're being taught how in the past, when we were younger, we were told we lived on a globe and we had this heliocentric model. Now the children live in a world in the future where they live on a flat plane, where they know the energies that compose the dome, the firmament. They have a lot more truths. And they ask us, how did it go from us believing we lived on a globe to believing or understanding we lived on a flat plane world? So as a thought experiment, it helps you to imagine sitting with the children, explaining it to them. Because when you're explaining it, your explanation has to be coherent and has to be logical. It can have slightly fantastical elements there, like aliens arrived and told us, but it has to be consistent and coherent. So if you sit and think about it, it's, you know, the 100 monkey syndrome. If everybody starts to think the same thing, eventually it works its way into the collective unconscious and has a knock-on effect that we can't really predict. So I would love to hear David's explanation to his great-great-great-grandchildren who are asking him how it went from that world to the new world.
So I'll tell you how it was. It happened when NASA put out the most ridiculous video and people just didn't buy it and everybody woke up. And I think that actually happened yesterday, okay, with the SpaceX. And I think all we have to do is, if everybody mirrors that video and says, this is really what NASA wants you to believe, I think people will wake up. That's it.
Okay, GeoShifter.
Well, you know, I basically said what I think about the brainwashing.
Yes, but tell everybody now, you're now 230 odd years old. You're explaining to your great-great-grandchildren how it changed from the globe world, how the systems changed. So,
do you want me to say the same as yesterday? Because it's hard to it's hard. It's just a guess, you know.
Yes, of course, it's just a guess, but if it's coherent, then it's valid.
Yeah, you never know. But what is sure that is more and more people are waking up to it. Not just the flat earth, but in general, the brainwashing, the TV, the news, all the fakery. at some point people are gonna do things that make it go viral, like a celebrity or someone that puts it out and gets millions of people that convert in like a week or a day. At some point, it's hard to say what's gonna happen, but it's obvious that they are blocking search results right now and trying to hide it some sort of on YouTube and Google.
Mm-hmm.
But then what happens? Yeah, I don't know. People are gonna come on the street on some point, but that's not gonna change much. But most people that that start to research all this and understand this basically believe or lose their belief in authority, mostly. So they stop believing in stuff like governments. So I don't think a war. Governments will probably try to fight it, and basically that means it will be a group of people against a group of other people, and who will win, we never know. In the end, we will win, I think.
Okay, Mark.
I think it's going to come down to some sort of celebrity, and by that I mean anyone in the public eye. It doesn't have to be, obviously, Neil deGrasse Tyson. It could be, I mean, I'd love to see Obama do it before he left. If he does get a chance to leave, we still have time left in the year. In fact, while we were talking, somebody just sent me, and I missed it again, but the internet misses nothing. Joe Rogan brought it up again on his show on the 5th. The Joe Rogan Experience, number 781. All you have to do is go to 39 minutes and 40 seconds. There he is talking to about his friend. He's still not backing down, saying that it's crazy, but he's in awe that it's still going, that people are still talking about this. And he even calls that his friend. He's got somebody close to him, which should give you some sort of ratio of how many closet flat earthers are still out there. I don't necessarily want to refer it to the whole gay thing being in the closet, but it's very similar in that regards, where there's a lot of flat earthers out there that don't know. So I think if you wanted me to tell, I don't have kids or grandkids, but if I wanted to tell somebody how I think it went down, I think it went down because it was mass media revelation, where you don't build, I'm a suspicious conspiracy type as much as anybody. You don't build a massive social media infrastructure if you're not going to use it for something huge. And this would be the something, because you could broadcast it to anybody with a cell phone. I'm sorry, everyone with a cell phone, and every industrialized nation would, anyone in those countries would know within an hour. It wouldn't be mirrored so quickly all the way around. The only people that wouldn't know is people who didn't have their phones on, basically. So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. I think some celebrity, not Madonna necessarily, but somebody's going to come out and back this. Remember, I've been calling this one where it's the third person. We already got the weird thing, the odd thing with Tila Tequila, followed by B.O.B. The B.O.B. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I really consider that one event because it was so intertwined. It's the third person, the person that comes out and says, hey, we should really revisit this. But it's got to be somebody strong that at this point who's not necessarily, can't be like Gary Busey, or it can't be a reality television star that's down on their luck. It cannot be Bruce Jenner.
Yes.
Although that would be interesting. So that's how I'm thinking it's going to happen.
I vote Ellen DeGeneres.
See, that's not bad.
Ellen DeGeneres would be huge.
She would be good. I'd even take Rosie O'Donnell back on The View, even though she was kicked off for bringing up Building 7 from 9/11. She was thrown off for years and then came back. I'd even take her, although she wouldn't be as credible.
Do you know who I think would be really good? I don't know if you're familiar, if any of you have heard of Bill Burr.
Bill Burr.
No?
I did the last episode of Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole that I did with a comedian. I'm spacing on his name right now, so he's going to be really upset. He has been on tour with Bill Burr.
Oh, right.
And he is becoming a flat earther. He's looking into it, and he's digging in right now.
Bill Burr is? Or the comedian that you had?
He's the guy that opens for Bill Burr. So, maybe I can get him to give Bill a little shake.
You see, Bill Burr, in one of his comedy shows, spoke about 9/11 and the conspiracies and the New World Order and satellites and the chip, and if somebody like Bill Burr gets his head around it with the kind of sharp mind that comedians have, they can do so much good. They can just completely, they can have everybody in the crowd laughing at NASA.
Yeah, I think there's a lot, because you could plot a graph when it comes to celebrities and open-mindedness. There's a lot of celebrities out there, because you have to be, especially actors. That get into they get into the whole, they expand their mind around this stuff, and I think this is one of those dirty little secrets that's in the celebrity communities, which all these celebrities, I think a lot of them know, but no one wants to get on that dance floor, because it's like, man, I'm gonna look like an idiot. My agent will kill me if I say this, and so they're just holding back and holding back. But once we just have to hit critical mass with it. And if just a few more do it, then I think you'll see this surge where the others will try to ride on it and say, oh yeah, I totally knew, and I totally knew too, and
Yeah.
I was writing a book on it a year ago. Are you kidding me? And
So maybe
Well,
it has
people like Alex
The
Jones.
same Bill Hicks is no longer with us.
who doesn't
Sorry
mind die.
about Bill Hicks.
Somebody who's older, who doesn't mind to die trying,
Sure.
they lose their career, they don't care if they get kicked off, they just they're a little bit of a martyr. Somebody who has credibility and integrity, but is willing to sort of put it all out there and sacrifice it all for the greater good.
Yeah, and I agree. That's a tough balance though, because a lot of these celebrities, they want a legacy. Look at what happened. Not to go off on a tangent. I know Sasha wants to speak. Where Robert De Niro was going to do the vaccination thing, and he backed off real quick, and it didn't take a genius to figure out, that somebody got to him, probably from the pharmaceutical agencies, and said, "Look, we will litigate you into the ground if you try to release this, because it's not, no different than when Oprah came on her show and said, hey, by the way, all the women listen to me, you shouldn't eat beef anymore." It's like the beef industry almost hung her, from a light pole. It was that quick. She was drug into arbitration or litigation or whatever it was. Anyway, sorry.
So Nathan, how are you telling your great-great-grandchildren the stages?
How do I think it would happen?
Yeah.
I think, I hope I don't get loads of flack for this. So my vision is that we get announcements from CERN, and they start talking more and more about things like parallel universes rather than the globe. So the globe just slowly gets put into the media less. There's less globe programming, and as it has happened already, you've got the social media networks, the Twitter feeds and the Facebook feeds lighting up with the kids talking about flat Earth, and the scientists talking about parallel universes. And then over the course of maybe about 10 years, the globe just gets subtly dropped, almost not even talked about. And because I think, like now, 99% of people would say, oh, who cares, that will be the route in for just slowly, subtly dropping it. And then you joked about this, Antonio, but it might even be as tragic as this. They have like I won't say it, like a simulation theory or Mandela effect thing, where they say, didn't people used to think that we lived on a globe at some point? And they'll go, no, that's just nuts. That's a false memory. So that'll be it. And the books will get changed, the internet will all get changed, and it'll just get erased from history.
Sasha?
Well, I was going to say, I actually think that it has to do with generations, because the youth of today have so much more purchasing power than most adults, and the corporations do actually kind of cater to them, which is why most of the movies that you see have jokes aimed at 14-year-olds, even though the movie is presented as for adults. And so I think that if we were to target late teens, kind of the kids that are rebellious anyway, so they're looking for an ideology that's different from what their parents believe, and they'll cling on to it. And also how they communicate is very different. And I think that they're on YouTube, they're also on Instagram, and they're on Twitter, and so I think that the short sound bites work very well for that. So if I was looking at how this would shift, I would kind of see it as the younger people buy into the flat earth theory, and then it goes from there. I think that there's less of a chance of converting older people who are really entrenched in the globe model and in their power status that comes from that in a lot of ways. And so that's why I think we should start getting the younger YouTubers and really supporting them, because like Mark was saying, that one girl who did a parody of being a flat earther got 90,000 views just like that. And it's just this, she's just ranting away, and then the reaction to that video got a lot more. And so I think that that's maybe where the focus should go into if we really want this to change from the globe Earth model to the flat Earth model. Let's start targeting youth with our propaganda.
Yeah. Brilliant.
It's a good
Okay,
idea.
Conk.
Conk
Got
still
Conk
here?
left. Is he still here? Yeah, Conk, you there?
You're muted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd probably, if my grandkids would probably already know before I got to them, but if they didn't, I'd probably borrow my son's guitar to irritate him, and I'd sit down and drink some of my grandkids' beer, and I'd say something like this to them. Way back when, my little one lived on a spinning ball, third rock from the sun. Some crazy dude stepped up like Margin. We didn't know Mark was a Sergeant Nisus, but he did a hell of a lot of good before that. I'd do something like that, but I'd have more than 10 seconds to get ready for it. They'd probably say, Grandpa, could you shut up and give me back my video game? That'd be about it, because I just don't think it's going to be that big a deal, guys. I hope it is, just for fun, but come on, man. I've seen this crap. Y2K was going to wipe out the world, you know what I mean? 2012, fuck it, we're gone. You know what I mean? It's just, you got to build the hype up. I don't know if you guys remember when Evel Knievel jumped the Snake Canyon. It started off as the Grand Canyon, and it went down to the Snake Canyon, and then it was a rocket ship, then it was a parachute. You know what I mean? I mean, it's all about the hype and the show. And sorry, guys.
I've come for you.
Anyway, my dogs always help out.
That's fine.
Bottom line is, I don't think it's going to be that big a deal, because the deal is millions of us know now. When I first found out there was 2,800 views on Mapbo and site, and I forgot about it. You know, I got hurt and I forgot about it completely. But the minute I saw Mark Sargent and I heard your show, Mark, about the dome, my wife and I listened to it all night long, and I got up first. I didn't even get no sleep. I got up in the middle of the night, and I was halfway through Duran's videos by morning on to debate, and for 6 weeks there I was, just like everybody else, you know. And I haven't seen the Energizer Bunny walking through yet, guys, and I'm on the same page as Gio. I've been trying to talk to Martin for a week. Every email I send gets rejected, no matter who it's from. Every time I talk on chat, it goes to this silly message saying chat's been delayed. It's just been a weird deal. I finally disconnected my Skype, and it cried. I mean, it literally moaned and groaned and asked me why, and I've never seen anything like it, but it was literally like I shot it between the eyes, and I will not hook it back up. For some reason, I bet we're all on a movie, honestly. I bet someday this is going to be like Easy Rider. It's going to come out, and they're going to show all of us freaks right before they put us in front of the firing squad, and that's where it's going to go. But maybe not. You know, millions of us know now, and I mean, they wouldn't have let millions of us know. And you say, well, but they let us, okay? Because at one time, they could have snuffed Matt Boland out right there the night after that nightclub act, and they didn't. And the bottom line is, these guys have listened to every phone call we've made since 1949. If they have that capability, they know about this long before it happened. I'm not on the Sheridan page. I mean, I have been in the last 4 or 5 months for a minute or two, but, you know, you just got to look at the big picture and see what society does. This whole thing about crashing society, it's just like 2012, and I'll tell you why. Too many people are investing money in things that are going to make money later on if people are alive. Without people, they have nobody to sell their crap to. What good's a bunch of gold if you can't purchase slaves with it and all the things that come with it? I mean, you have to actually put yourself in that mindset to actually even see how they think. If they wipe us all out or do any of this thing that's promoted on YouTube, it's over for them. No more cash. And in my 53 years, I've come full circle, and I I've been through everything that you guys are looking at. I mean, not maybe everything. I didn't see what came out from NASA today, but all I see is things growing. You know what I mean? I don't see anything getting solved. I see more versions of stuff coming out. Doesn't mean I don't believe there's truth in every single one. I do, just like my videos say. But proof is in the, what was it Robert says? It's not what you know, it's what you can prove, and that's the bottom line. I hope my grandkids are telling me, to be honest. God bless you all.
Nice.
Was everyone? Did everyone have a
Good
go?
job.
That was a good answer.
Yeah.
Time for an outfit change.
What do you guys think about Bill Hicks and Alex Jones?
Love
Bill
it.
Hicks is a talented comic. Alex Jones, he's funny sometimes.
It's not as funny as Bill Hicks.
They the same person? Hell no. They're both at Waco together in 2 different videos, and they look completely different.
Yeah.
Debunked.
Yeah.
Why hasn't he talked about it? Why isn't he talking flat Earth? I mean, he gave one little mention to the Atlantean conspiracy, which Eric DeBay's claimed.
Money, hello. If he starts talking about flat Earth, his show's going bye-bye. He's the only guy with a syndicated show in the world that's self-supported.
Yeah,
Are you talking about Alex Jones? I can tell you because his producers contacted me through back channels, and
Producers aren't owners. Producers work for him, Mark.
I know, but he couldn't. But it's to your point, which is he couldn't do the show because he couldn't figure out a way. He was scared, like a lot of people, of losing subscribers. It's like, can a show be done without using the term flat Earth? And
Either that or he's been showed something about the Apollo landings that we don't know, because he's adamant on the fact that they landed there, and even I, since the day that they landed, haven't believed it. And I haven't because I was supposed to go to NASA that night and watch it. And first off, we were preempted by a better family that got to scoot in ahead of us, which didn't make me too happy after waiting since 1964 to get to be part of the whole deal, and thinking I was going to be an astronaut and all the crap we all did. But the funny thing was, when they showed us the films, I asked my dad, like, how'd they get a camera down on the moon, Dad? You know what I mean? And I still remember saying that, you know what I mean? And at that point, going home and not wanting to put together those, did you ever have one of those little models that looks like the lander? I had a couple of those in '69. I don't know why people duplicated shit, but when you got stuff for Christmas, you get like 3 of the same thing, you know what I mean? And I got 3 or 4 of those little Apollo things where you had to do with the tester's glue and make them look like the little lander, which I hated in the first place. I wanted it to look like the one in Star Trek or Lost in Space, not like the little thing that they landed with, supposedly. But see, if I'd have had the eyes that I have today, the eyes that can see CGI and hear bullshit, I would know right then, when I seen the gold foil and all the other crap that we know about, the no imprints of the spaceship, but yet, the big footprint 6 into the ground, and it always got me about the dust in the footprint. Even when I was a little kid, I thought the dust looked like concrete dust or flour, not like dust on I thought, man, it must be pretty slick dust on the moon.
Yeah.
Can I just jump in, Mark? Sorry, before you go, because I really hear what you were going to say about.
You're still presenting.
Who is?
I'm sorry. I will fix it. That's my fault.
Okay.
I was just going to say, Mark, I really want to hear what you're going to say about Alex Jones, but this is to address what Conk just said, that it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. That's a huge mistake, because Alex Jones has had proved to him that we went to the moon, and we all know that that's not true. So the idea that it's what you can prove is a huge red herring.
What Alex Jones says, Antonio, what Alex Jones says is we might not have went on that day, but we've been since then. And when he said that kind of cued me into maybe one of his sources, because he's got some sources, guys.
Yeah.
One of his sources might have told him some inside information, because really the moon's not that far up there. I mean, it looks like somebody would have been there by now. You know what I mean? It looks like it's in rock's throw, really, And lately, on the West Coast here, Antonio, the moon's been looking weird, honestly, for 2 months.
Yes, but we'd have astronomers zooming in on the moon and looking at the base of the lander, because the base of the lander remained there for each lander. But what I'm saying is it is not what you can prove, because of what Sasha said before. You can take the most bona fide, irrefutable proof, and people will still say no. So what will have happened with Alex Jones is somebody will have primed him, pre-programmed him to accept the proof that they presented about going to the moon. It's not what you can prove, it's what you can know yourself. Because if you're the only person in the world who knows that it's flat, that's it. You're that one person. When that one person becomes 6 million, 20 million, 50 million, it is still that one person. It's all I am, me. Mark, the same when you're saying you know, all of us know, but we can only know personally. Proofs, we're still deferring to the authority of the person that's showing us the proof.
Well, he's from a government family, you know that, right? I mean,
Yeah,
so it's probably he can't really say, if he's got CIA agents, cousins, he can't say, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he's got too much on his plate to worry about that. I mean, 6 months from now, a year from now, he might go for it. But the bottom line is right now with the Satanist and the child molesting rings that he's trying to bust that might get him killed. He's got his plate full, to be honest. And we got, I think we got this covered anyway. I mean, I can't believe how much I'm so proud of all the flat earthers, every single one. I love them all. Just the fact that they stood up and did anything at all, it's awesome, because there is involvement in our computers and stuff, and anybody that's ever been online can see when you've got company. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So, Mark, will you tell us a story about the producers from Alex Jones?
Oh, well, it was several months ago when this thing started ramping up, and it was before the BOB thing, which was interesting. That they were trying to figure out how to do a show, but they didn't want to bring up flat Earth as a topic. They didn't, the term flat Earth, and they it can't be done with alternatives like enclosed world, enclosed Earth, Truman Show, firmament, all that stuff. I go, yeah, you can do all that, but sooner or later you can only dance around it so long, and sooner or later you're gonna have to deal with it. And I've heard this, I've done a whole bunch of podcasts by now where that I don't know, maybe 25% of them were nervous going in. They didn't want, because they were afraid of that. They said, okay, I've got a lot of people asking me about, you should do a show on this, but there's also a whole bunch of people that I'm afraid are just going to leave, so it'll be like a zero-sum game, and they didn't want to do that. So the same thing was kind of like with other people. The producers kind of slipped it in, like with George Norrie on Coast to Coast. He didn't really know. He thought it was kind of a joke. He thought the producer was kind of messing with him, and only about 15 minutes in, when he was talking to me, did he realize, no, I'm not kidding, and that's when he started getting into it. But he once he realized I was serious, he dropped it on me pretty quick, on air. He made sure it was on air, that said that, just so you know, I fully believe in the Apollo program. And I was like, okay. And he's done this on other shows too, but he was saying that to me to make sure that I didn't just start hammering on the Apollo program, and more specifically NASA. So when I referred to the space program, I really stayed in low Earth orbit if I could. I didn't want to, I wasn't supposed to torch it. But I get it. I understand whether, at least in the United States, it's a matter of national pride, and these guys are told, look, you don't do this. They probably aren't told why exactly. I don't think Alex Jones knows. And the same thing, so those two guys, and then of course Joe Rogan, who I don't think will ever address it officially, because he already painted himself into a corner, because he was an anti-Apollo guy that had to switch sides. Somebody got to him, and he went, retracted everything he ever said about the Apollo program, but never said why. Just said that, no, I believe in the moon program, and there's no such thing as evidence that you could show. Yeah, fine. If Alex wants to go and say that we went later, it's like, okay, so everything, all the original photographs, those are fake, but there's other photographs that are completely real. Yeah, I'm not buying it, because if that was the case, then that means that you could leave Earth orbit, and eventually you could take some really good pictures of the Earth, and nobody's done that. Same thing with the oblate spheroid argument, where Neil said that it was an oblate spheroid, and then that geodetic surveyor said that it was an ellipsoid. It's like, fine, NASA and the world powers would have no problem convincing the public if it was a squished sphere instead of just a perfectly round sphere. But so whatever's up there, whenever they go up there and look back, if they can get that far, isn't anywhere close to being a sphere. Because if it was, they could massage it and tell the people that it was, including a secret space program, which is why Richard Hoagland's work is non-existent at this point. Sorry, that's my little rant.
Hey David, will you mention what you were saying about the elliptical orbit of the sun and how the speed difference would happen on the heliocentric model?
Weren't we just talking about that a little while ago, or something else?
We were talking about it a few days ago. No, about the speed difference. Because if it's not a circle, the speed cannot be constant. It has to slow down and speed up.
He said that when I had a picture in screen share.
Oh, right, sorry. I have this abscess that has really distracted me. Sorry, guys.
Ouch.
I also wanted to say about Alex Jones, there is a video from a few months ago where a flat earther called in to his show.
I remember that, where he snuck in the comment, and then Alex ditched him as fast as he could.
If you search it on YouTube, you will probably find it. Basically, first he says, "Hey Alex, I love your products and I bought this and this and this." And you see him go all happy and stuff, and then he says, "Hey, do you know the earth is flat?" And he got cut off right away.
Yeah.
That says a lot, right?
Yeah.
Well, Antonio, I was going to say, one of the things you're talking about is this idea of satellites and how do they go around an Earth that's not a perfect sphere. How does that affect their trajectories? But there's also differences in gravity, is what we're told, in different places on the Earth. And so there are random places on the Earth where the gravity is significantly lower and some places where it's much higher. Yeah. And so there are a lot of problems with the geosynchronous orbit of certain satellites. I think that really would suggest that it's not possible.
So now I have a different question, and this is a question that a lot of us might have already pondered ourselves, but I know a lot of people have been asking me, which is, going back to Copernicus, was he trying to arrive at conclusions that were true to him, just on the basis of observation, or was he trying to concoct something to hide God? And when I say God, I want to tell everybody my version, my idea of God is a combination of different energies. We can call each energy a different name. One of them is called Sarah, that's resonance. Another one is called Philip, and that's electromagnetism. We can call them a whole range of names, but that's what and it would be a tribe that would be God, not this bearded character that doesn't have a wife but has sons, and no. So was Copernicus trying to arrive at a conclusion about our world from a scientific observer point of view, or was he concocting something to hide? So was it not quite as evil as we think, or was it entirely evil? What are your ideas?
I'll go. I don't think it was necessarily evil, but I take kind of a different track where I think he was sort of being assisted. I don't think it was just him. I don't believe in coincidences, and so when his work wasn't published until after he died, and that was one of the conditions, I think he was really afraid. Like a lot of people in the flat Earth thing, but he was coming from the other side where he was afraid because of all the ridicule he would get, but I think he was being assisted by the people or the things or beings, whatever you want to call it, the divine, that helped build this place. Because I firmly believe that you had to make it a globe model eventually to buy time, to hide the fence from us, and because really, as a civilization, I don't think we were really that interesting until the last 500 years. I mean, yeah, we had some cool history here and there, but it really, really ramped up over the last 500 years. And we wouldn't have been, those 500 years wouldn't have been, it would have all been focused on the fence if we would have known about the fence. That's all we would have cared about. We would have been, had it evolved to where the explorations were going out, they would have just kept looking for it and kept looking for it, and it would have been a concentrated. Once the internal combustion engine came out, that's all we would have cared about as a civilization, rather than the small parties, including Admiral Byrd. So, I don't think he was evil, though. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you think he had malicious intent? Do you think he was actually trying to hide something?
I don't think he was trying to hide something as much as like Admiral Byrd wasn't trying to hide something. I think they were just being tools. They were tools that were being used for the job. That it's like, okay, Copernicus, who can we use to put this out into the population? All right, let's use this guy, and Copernicus had a few allies here and there. So do I think he even knew exactly what he was doing? Probably not. I mean, it's a massive leap of faith if you're going from a flat model to, and I'm going to put that in the clip of my next Strange World. I'm going to do the pullout scene from Contact with Jodie Foster, where it backs out from the Earth and it goes through all the galaxies. And I'm going to put the preface in there. It's like, look, what's easier to believe? The fact that you're on an enclosed terrarium type system, or this giant, incomprehensibly huge model spanning billions of light years. That makes more sense to you. No, it only makes more sense to you because it's been beaten into your head since you were a kid. Same thing. I can't imagine. I know there's some brilliant people over the years, but I can't imagine that someone like him could make that much of a leap of faith and go from a flat model to this huge distance solar system model, on his own. It's just a massive, and he's going to back that. He's going to bank on that. That's the idea. It's like, no. The world is absolutely like this. I don't think for a second that he did it alone. So I don't think it was malicious. I don't. And if it was, I don't think he even knew the big picture. How could he?
Okay, but do you think that somebody who was coercing him or molding his ideas had malicious intent? Was there somebody behind it that had malicious intent?
Oh yeah. Somebody, again. Eventually, when you get up yeah. All right. I'll take that one a step further, which is the guys that were ordering Admiral Byrd to go down to spend his last 30 years of his life flying around in a plane nonstop. Just do circles for the South Pole till you find it. Find what? No, just keep circling. You'll find it. Those guys, yes, they were the ones that probably had the maps. They were the ones that knew, and yes, they had malicious intent. They were going to hide this, but they had to know for sure. Like anyone, until you know, like what Antonio was saying, until you know, what do you really know? Until you find out for yourself. So even though they had an old scrolly map with these weird drawings on it, it's like, wow, that's really interesting. Until you can prove it for yourself, you haven't really accomplished much. Which is why I still think they gave up in 1954, or all but gave up.
From what you've just said, Mark, it sounds to me like, because I've always tried to wrap my head around what is the point that they started lying, and I kind of, up until what you just said, thought, well, it must have been when NASA came along, they realised and had to ramp up the lie in a big way and provide proof. But from what you've just said, it sounds like the lie did actually start 500 years ago.
Go ahead, Sasha. Well, before Sasha breaks in, I think, yes, the lie started 500 years ago, but I think the scope of the lie has been evolving over time. They didn't, until you see it for yourself, until you can actually, which is why that's what I led in the clues with, until you have the ability to at least get some sort of scale of what this thing is, you're lying, but it's all based on faith. And then once you realize, look, this thing's real, we got to do something, that's when you spend the real money. Up until then, it was just probing. It was just doing scouting missions, explorations. But once you find, once that moment, I mean, look at you guys know the story as well as anybody. Until 1956, everything was, fairly small and self-contained. But after that, the money that was spent and the lies that they just kept spreading and the huge sweeping gestures was massive, and it just got worse after that. So yes, did they start to lie 500 years ago? Yeah, but it was, like our civilization, you could probably line it up with our population graph, and that is, small lies, small lies, small lies, and it got really, really big. Sorry, Sasha, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know when the Spanish Inquisition happened, but I know that all religions begin and people join religions because it promises something good and it promises something better. And then it gets corrupted, and then it just kind of becomes about power and control. And I think that there was a point where the scientists or the science-minded people in Europe were seeing the church, the Christian church, have too much power and too much control, and it was becoming something so evil and horrible. And I think that the globe Earth and the denial of the Earth as a special place, it undermined the power of the church. And I think that that's why you see all the intellectuals hop on the globe Earth train, because it was a way to defy the church and to try to move power away from it and to move money away from it. And I think that I in a way it's understandable, because the church was doing horrible things at the time. And so I think that the people that maybe knew this isn't necessarily true, that the heliocentric and the geocentric models are equally plausible, went with the heliocentric one because it was the opposite of what the church was saying. And then they started providing proof for it. And I think that we should learn from that, because now we're in the opposite situation, where we have corporatism, where companies and corporations and governments are now the ones that have too much power, too much control, and are being evil and doing evil things. So maybe we should look at how they turned things around in that era and try to do the same thing. It was a religion, and they countered it with the religion of the globe Earth, and now we're stuck with the religion of the globe Earth, so let's counter it with the religion of the flat Earth and take control back. Yes.
It was,
But real quick, she does have a point there. The Inquisition did start around 1478, and Copernicus' theory was around 1540-ish. He was building it. So yeah, the Inquisition happened just before that thing happened.
How do we know that's when Copernicus came up with that? I mean, do we have real documentation
That's
of
what
that?
I wanted to say also, because I looked into Copernicus for a long time, and it's a lot of different stories. If it's even real, if it's 500 years old, it has probably been changed like 100 times. So I don't know what to believe.
Why do scientists do things nowadays? I think he was hired by the Medicis and intellectuals who couldn't figure out how to do away with God's scheme of things, and I think he was hired to come up with an equation, and he come up with it, and then he didn't want to deliver it, and so then when he died, they took it, like Mark said, and gave it to the people who paid him to do it. People don't do things.
If you read the story,
excuse me, even back 500 years ago, people don't waste 5 or 10 years on the thought of what they're going to do for science, folks. They have to make a living. They have to sell their services like Michelangelo did to the Medicis. You know, he didn't just go out and sculpt David and all kinds of crap all over the scenery. He got paid by these rich families that ran the world to do this. Okay, so did Copernicus. Obviously, the people that someday had to do away with God probably had an alternative plan, see, because they didn't want everybody having their individual soul and being somebody worthwhile in God's eyes. They wanted serfs to just die and go away like so much, you know, flotsam jetsam.
yeah.
Yeah, same with Cavendish.
If
Yeah,
you
he was a
if you read the
rhetorician,
story,
he's really rich.
it says that he refused to release it his whole life, and it's right before, I believe it's only a few days before his death, that he released his idea to the public.
yes, that he allowed it to be published just before he died.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the thing is, I don't know
my
what to
question is-
believe of it, because if you don't believe NASA anymore, then how should you trust a story that is 500 years old, you know?
Right. I mean, how do we know any of that is true? I mean, these are just stories. We can't even figure out what's true in, you know, recent hoaxes. So
If the story would include some good proof,
That's
that
a
would be
very
a
important
difference.
scholar once said, Billy Preston, nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You know what I mean? Nobody does it for nothing. I mean, yeah, we're out here for nothing because this is fun and we're doing good for the world. But, you know, would we be here 10 years from now? You know, like this thing took a while for Copernicus to do. He had to have been paid. He had to have been done it at the behest of somebody else.
To make the idea, yeah.
The Medicis would be my guess because they're the ones that ran the land at that time, and they were very, very powerful.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah.
On the same lines, what do you guys think about? I know Matt Powland did an interview about Stephen Hawking with a guy who was pretty out there, saying he was completely controlled and they've got a computer hooked up to him and stuff. But nonetheless, Stephen Hawking's pretty suspect. What's the general opinion on Stephen Hawking?
Is he or isn't he? That'd be the question, huh?
He's a puppet.
Yeah.
Liberal.
As long as he's alive, he's worth. It's gonna sound
Depends
horrible.
on what is.
The what?
I think it's just mockery to fool us and show us how stupid we are. You
Okay,
believe
I
a guy in a wheelchair that can't talk?
I can tell you something. One of my roommates whilst I was at uni was this guy. He's a brilliant guy. We would have parties sometimes, and there would be cannabis, and there would be drink, and there would be music, and he would be in charge of the music, and he would be the host. So he would be having conversations and smoking a joint and having a drink and changing the music while he was writing his first and last draft of his essays. This is how he wrote. They were impeccable. He was getting first grades all along. And that's how this guy worked. Now, the original Stephen Hawking was that kind of guy. When he first put his thesis, other people, other students who had seen him sitting in the courtyards in Cambridge, put a complaint against him, saying that he must have plagiarized or hired people to write it for him, because whilst they were all busy writing, they were seeing him chatting with his girlfriend, walking up and down, going out of the university, coming back, not working. But for the 3 days before it was due, he just sat down and wrote it all out. So he was one of these guys whose brain functions differently. Now that was the original Stephen Hawking. The Stephen Hawking we have now is not that guy. The original did become crippled, was kept alive, died at some point that's not been reported, and was replaced by another guy who doesn't even look like him.
Yes,
and
definitely.
if you look at the videos, you will see this.
Yeah.
But maybe that tells us something. It tells us that people want priests, they want high priests, they want a pope. And scientism is a religion, and a lot of people subscribe to it. And so if you're going to counter that, then, you know, the flat earth community, we don't want leaders. We want a vision, and people have to engage in acts of leadership. But maybe that's part of the struggle, to understand what it takes to bring a movement of truth to the wider masses. Do you need to have a recognizable pope, high priest of some kind? That's what Stephen Hawking is, and that's his function among all the scientists. That's how they see him, and it gives them that comfort that we have this leader, this high priest who has access to the divine, and he tells us these truths, and we know that what we're doing is correct and right and valuable because it's in line with what he says is right. And I think that it's easy to hate that or to not want that, but you have to be aware that this is the system that you're competing with, because this is what appeals to the masses. This is what people want and like and feel safety in. And so maybe that's something that we need to really start looking at in terms of how to get the flat earth community to be stronger and more competitive with the globe earth scientism religion.
Absolutely. In fact, if what you've just said is correct, it's impeccable, I would say. At a more fundamental level or a more superficial level, Stephen Hawking is a logo to all the people who are not scientists. He is a logo. That's his function. All they have to do is, on Big Bang Theory, is say Stephen Hawking, and there you go. We have this idea of this genius who's crippled, so that he functions as a logo, and we have to remember the importance of logo. So, like Mark Sargent, people criticize Mark. Sorry, so people criticize Mark because he's calm and settled. Okay, he's a settled guy. You're probably gonna hate every word I say now, Mark. Okay, but
I'm cringing already.
yes, because Mark is so calm and settled, and he doesn't become riled. People who object to a logo, to an emblem, object to that because he's so stable that he can be considered by them at an unconscious level a logo for the flat Earth. And I know every single one of you out there who might have received a comment from Mark Sargent when you first posted a video that you think, wow, you get it, it has an impact. You think, oh man, this guy saw this video, wow. So what you're saying, Sasha, is we need to create something, we need to have something that functions similarly to how Stephen Hawking functions in the world of science. And I say absolutely. I'm not saying that, Mark, you have to be in that position. I'm just saying that the way that you are presents that. Also the way Patricia Steer is, or the way Nathan is, because it's kind of stable, you know, and it's very easy for people to create a meme of them as a logo. And this is why Patricia gets attacked, because she's so effective at that. This is why Mark gets attacked. Nathan doesn't get attacked quite as much because Nathan bites back a lot, you know.
Or because I'm unhinged.
Yes. No, it's because Nathan really enjoys biting back, but Patricia and Mark don't. So they get the attacks.
Just out of interest, Sasha, just to bring this back to the conversation we started with, when you see stuff with Stephen Hawking or even Neil deGrasse Tyson when they do their shows, it's not very sexy. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, and I think that that's kind of the point, right? Because under scientism, intellectualism is for the higher class of priests and want to be priests, and the physical, the overwrought sexuality, appealing to people's sexuality, that's base, that's for the lowly people who don't have the intellectual capacity. And so the icons in scientism are usually stripped of sexuality because of that. And I guess that's maybe that influences how I see things the way I was ranting earlier, because I come from a science background, and so that has influenced how I do see things. Yes.
What's next?
Well, that was a conversation killer.
No, it wasn't that. Thanks, Sasha. No, it wasn't your fault.
Hey, I want to talk about Stephen Hawking.
Go ahead, Con.
Hey, I remember thinking way back when I was like 16 or 17, going, oh my God, that poor man, I can't believe he's still alive. I'm 53 now, and I'm kind of wondering if he's going to outlive me.
Yeah, but he definitely changed if you look at the differences in the past and now. It's not the same guy.
And Antonio's right, though. You don't kill icons if you can help it. And if you can keep it going and the population, you know, well, honestly, I think KFC, if they could have figured out a way to do it, would have kept Colonel Sanders running for a long, long time, you know, push him around a wheelchair. And in fact, there was this a series of ads they ran, I don't know, 10 years ago at least, where there was an older gentleman, and he was such a dead ringer for him that people were saying, is that him? Is that him? And the icon kind of had this, you know, surge. So yeah, I can't say that I would do it, but, you know, I'd be if I was in a room with guys that were trying to think of ways to keep Stephen Hawking doing it, it's like, how easy could it be? Well, we can just control his computer. We can control the output that's going out. All he has to do is blink and not fall over.
How dumb could it be? The only ones that were, you know, really the only ones he appealed to was his colleagues. I mean, nobody knew who he was till he was already that way. I mean, it's just another one of their, like you say, you call them icons. I call them trick ponies. I don't know. I don't think they're that necessary anymore. It's not the 40s. They don't have to convince us to go fight for their bank. I mean,
no, you're right. But people like to know that there's super smart individuals out there, and he was the only guy, as far as I know, that.
That's the thing. Are there? I haven't seen any, Mark. Honestly, I mean, I see a
don't-
lot of people I see a lot of self-proclaimed intellectuals, but I've yet to see very many intellectuals.
Good point. He was the only person I had heard of that successfully, or whatever, the science institution embraced it to challenge Einstein, where Einstein said that God doesn't play dice, and Stephen Hawking was like, actually, God does play dice. All that whole thing. I wasn't trying to make fun of his voice box. I'm just saying.
Can I jump in here with something, which is we're talking about putting people on pedestals and making people icons and having high priests, but this is kind of the thing that I took from Flat Earth, which is it really empowered me to think, wow, I can go out and look at this stuff myself, and I'm not trying to make myself grandiose or anything here, but kind of that's what Flat Earth has given me, a sense of empowerment to go out and look for myself, rather than look to the media, look to the high priest, look to the Neil deGrasse Tysons of the word for answers, instead of just opening your own eyes. So for me, that's the thing that I don't know how to push that on people. When they say, well, what difference does it make? I kind of get exasperated and go, well, it's made a massive difference to me. How can I relate this to you? And it's frustrating because I don't know how to do that.
I think it's because you lose the belief in authority. I have a video, the myth of, I don't know what it's called, the myth of authority, I believe, and it's made on a audio narration from Larkin Rose from his channel.
Yeah.
I think that's one of my best videos, and I think that has a lot to do with Flat Earth, in a way of people start to lose their trust in authority. If you get information from someone, you don't trust it anymore. You try to look at it yourself first and try to question it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have never seen a topic, conspiracy or not, that inspires people to all of a sudden create their very first YouTube channel and make a video. I mean, that takes something. It's one thing to write, send an email to your friends or do a blog post or something, but to actually say, you know what, I'm going to create a YouTube channel, I'm going to make my first video. I have no idea how I'm going to do it. And you can always tell these people, right? They're just yelling at their own phone, rah, 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 and then they throw it up there, no editing whatsoever, and you got to appreciate just the raw passion that whether it's for or against. I have never seen people that aren't into conspiracies are looking at this at one way or the other. Again, probably because of the conditioning and how they react to it. Either they snap out of it and are so excited, or they're still stuck in the conditioning and they're so angry.
Yeah, spot on. We were talking earlier about coming out of brainwashing and it taking about 7 days, with the MK Ultra. But you hear the same story over and over again. I suddenly had an epiphany and the flat earth thing came to me. Next thing you know, it's 2 weeks solid, can't get any sleep, watching non-stop videos. And it's that, it's sort of self-unprogramming, over and over again, you hear it.
I feel bad because I get people, because I was so dumb when I made that first introduction. It wasn't dumb. I mean, I meant it when I did it. When I put my phone number at the end of the Flat Earth Clues introduction, right? Even before the clues. It's like, here's the intro, here's my phone number, call me if you got questions. And I get these messages because I have to screen all my calls now, and they'll leave this message where it's like, I'm listening to your stuff and I've got questions and I don't know where it's going, and I can't even really respond to them. If they have an email, I may respond, but it's like, dude, by the time I even call you back, you're gonna have already lost an entire day's worth of sleep, and you're gonna be on this 2-week journey. It's kind of like going into rehab or something, where you're just gonna have to sweat it out, and hopefully you won't go nuts on the other side of this thing. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's always the same story. It's like because there's so much content. Oh my God, there's so much good content now, where you could spend 2 weeks easily not sleeping. Just eat and just like, holy smokes, I can't get enough of this stuff.
But that process is a self journey. It's one that every individual takes themselves, and there is no. Yeah, you're referring to material online, or you're looking it up in books or whatever, or maybe you're even discussing it, heaven forbid, with other people. But it's definitely a journey of self-discovery, as opposed to the indoctrination. Like you say, some people come across this and just revert to the programming or the brainwashing, or however you want to phrase it. And that's the bit I want to get across to people, that when you start looking at it, that unlocks lots of the parts of your brain that let you be a more inquisitive person.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There was somebody, it wasn't me who said it, obviously. They said, once if you can get your head around this, everything before it unlocks, which is like, oh, wait. So, because it makes everything else way more plausible. It's like flat Earth, got it. 9/11, why not? Or anything. I mean, there's nothing out of bounds.
Actually, we talked about this, didn't we, David, the other day when we were. You kind of phrased this in a way. I'd asked loads of people what percentage of the bullshit is out there. How much of the media stuff that we get is rubbish, and you kind of phrased it a different way, which was, you said, is it all rubbish? Is it all lies? That was kind of how you put it, David.
I people often ask me, what do you believe is real? Everything can't be fake, and all I can come up with, I came up with two things. Sully landed on the Hudson River, which is the plane that landed, because, and Kurt Cobain killed himself, and I'm wrong on that one. I found out.
Yeah.
That's part of why the Flat Earth movement is really starting to pick up, I think, because what it does and what it takes is a refusal of the status quo. And I think fewer and fewer people are well served by the status quo, and so more people are willing to reject it, and more people are looking to reject it. And so I think that's a key part, right?
Yeah. Everybody, honestly, I don't want to take away from the other conspiracies, even though I look at them as all second tier. Wow, that was a Freudian slip. All the conspiracies leading up to this.
That is going to kill us.
Subliminal messaging.
I'm actually making a video with that clip right now as we speak.
Oh man, yeah, this is a good one, guys.
I totally didn't mean to do any subliminal hot sex messages. I
Mark
certainly
is
didn't.
the sergeant. I assistant at 11. Oh god, I completely forgot what I was gonna say. All the conspiracies up until this point have kind of set the stage for this, because everyone was, they've been getting bigger and weirder, and I'm not kidding, where I kind of treated like you're running into a street magician that you didn't want to fall for it again, because the street magician just hitting you right and left, and you don't know which way is going, and so it gives you a breather, and it's like, okay, now for my final trick, and you're okay, all right, I'm totally got this one. You're never going to get me. It's like, yeah, that's right, the card was in your back pocket the entire time. And that's sort of like what the flat Earth was, because everyone went in with all the hardcore conspiracy guys that were really open-minded. They're going, yep, I will totally see it coming. And then it's like, no, you won't. No, you won't, because this one was this one was before, and you even were old enough to know what a conspiracy was. And that's why that's why I think part of it resonates so hard with them. Once they can break through, then they see it. It's like, of course, the biggest one is the one you're not going to ever see. It's the one that nobody saw. Hey, Mark, can I butt in on you just for a second?
Sure.
Okay, now this is for you though. I mean, I tell you what, I had forgot. I got hit by a truck, and I was in the hospital for a month, and I totally forgot about Matt's video, and my wife and I are like doing something. Oh yeah, we're watching YouTube on TV, because at that time my computer was down, and I hadn't even worried about it in a year. I'd got away from conspiracy. All I had to do was almost die, and I was pretty happy to be away from the conspiracy, and then all of a sudden I hear this show about the dome all night, and then I woke up in the morning, and I got my coffee, and I almost had it stirred before I headed out the front yard, and I looked up, and there's a rainbow, and it's going from one arc of the valley to the other. In other words, looking like it's encompassing the planet, or the plane, and it's totally round. And I thought, damn, I wonder if I took a bowl and sprayed water over it in the sunshine, could I produce a rainbow in there? I kind of wonder. You made me think to come back to the computer and go, well, let me check this out. And like I say, since then I've been looking at lots of stuff. But if I hadn't heard your voice in my head when I woke up in the morning, I was like, what's this dome crap? I remember something about some pictures at NASA, you know what I mean? And I got on there, and I'm like, 26 million pages. It's like, man, have I been out a year or 5 years? You know, I mean, it was really something.
Wow. Well, the rainbow thing, I'm not going to take that much credit for, because I think the first guy that made the rainbow video that caught my eye was Jesse Spots, where he just kind of mentioned it in passing, and then
I don't know anything about those, Mark. I'm just talking specifically about your talking all night and me looking out my front yard. I don't know anything about any
yeah,
of these
yeah. Don't.
I saw where a dome could be feasible, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I
so
got you.
At that point, I ran down and got a computer, and I spent 6 weeks without sleep, pretty much.
Don't listen to my voice while
I'm
you sleep.
sending you a bill for all the extra food I ate during those hours.
Hey,
Yeah.
one thing that GeoShifter said, which is it makes you not just question authority, absolutely dismiss the idea of authority. So when you have
not really, you still can. It's hard to say, but you don't link authority anymore to a figure, or you know,
yes,
if someone,
yes,
a scientist, come with a white coat, you're not gonna think anymore, oh, it's a white coat, I can trust all the information.
Yes, because
their credibility's gone.
Yeah, but not only
thinking,
with that, but with all authority in general. Only
yes,
the people you really trust, you will take the information for real.
Which is how life should be.
And
so
even then, yeah.
When a doctor's talking to you about a flu shot, you're thinking, you probably think we're still on a globe, and it just, it puts things into perspective.
That's a good way to put it.
Also, just to, because I've noticed some of the chat, some people thought that I was talking about making an icon of one of the panel or some other flat earther. That's not what I was saying. I was not saying to create an idol, which is something you worship and follow and revere. I was talking about a logo. For instance, the swastika. Me just saying the swastika made you conjure up the Nazi symbol. So if the flat earth has 1 or 12 or 50 logos, that they help promote the idea. Now it's just a case of conceptualizing them, of actually drawing them out. That's what I was talking about. A logo, an emblem, a symbol that represents. And I was saying that Stephen Hawking is being used as a logo, the same way that some people see Mark Sargent, the stable areas of the flat earth community, as logos. That's what I was explaining. Sorry, so go.
Yep.
I'll start taking off my shirt more. Sorry, go ahead, Sasha.
Well, I just wanted to say, and it kind of keeps drifting in and out of my mind as I'm trying to focus on it, but I can't do all the research I need to do about everything that I have to make choices about. There's a limited time in my life. So I need to know, okay, if I need advice about something, that there's someone who has a passion for that and a curiosity for it, and they're willing to spend the majority of their time researching that. So then I can turn to them and say, look, I'm doing research on flat Earth, I'm doing research on other things, I don't have time to do research on this particular area. So you have done research in that area, so can you tell me what decision to make? Because I don't have time. And then that becomes an expert. And then maybe other people around me say, oh yeah, that one guy's done all this research on medicine. And so we all turn to him when we have questions about medicine. So the idea that you can somehow not have leaders, not have authority figures, not have experts. We need authority figures not to have power and control over us, but we need to know that there are people that we can turn to for information about things that we don't have time to collect for ourselves. And inevitably, those people will come to have power in that domain. And that's how humans work, that's how information works. I don't know that those two are as easily divided. So what works best is when people have equal power. So I'm an expert on one thing, you're an expert on the other thing. But there are always going to be some things that are harder to learn, and those people are going to have information that is harder to get. So they have more value, and they have more power because they have information that we want. So I don't know. I just worry that we're becoming so theoretical and so abstract that we're becoming naive, that we're kind of starting to suggest a utopia, and we have to be realistic and work within the constraints that we have if we want this to be something more than a fun game, hobby, flat earth belief that we talk about, right?
This takes us full circle back to bikini-clad girls.
No.
I don't think for a second though that this is going to be that this is a part-time thing. If for nothing else, then I have seen something I have never seen before in the conspiracy world, which is direct responses by high-level, high-profile authority figures that shouldn't be there. You know and I didn't have much of a doubt when Obama made his speech last week when he was talking about that, but there's no reason at all for him to bring that up during the last year of 8 years worth of presidency, as he should be touring the world and saying his goodbyes to everybody and helping the campaign stuff. Why would you ever bring that up? You don't understand. I know it seems like a long time ago, even though it was only a couple months ago, that night, when a Grammy-nominated rapper calls out the world's most prominent astrophysicist, and the astrophysicist gets into a Twitter battle, followed by a rap song, followed by him going on Comedy Central and doing that stupid routine where he drops the mic, and then the next morning watching Leonardo DiCaprio talk about the flat Earth with the Pope on camera. These are things. And not only that's just the public figures. Not to mention all the stuff as NASA has done. For example, we were saying that there's no pictures of the Earth from space. What happens? 5 months later, NASA releases the second blue marble shot, and then admits it. Then they turn on supposedly the Himawara satellite from Japan. Then they release all these different photos from the moon and all this different stuff. They're scrambling in ways that I've never seen. Where they didn't have to. They could have ignored this, and they haven't. Which is why it makes me think that again, there's something coming down the road here, which is even part of a bigger setup. And I'm not going to give Max Egan too much credit by he's saying, look, it's part of a trap. That line from Star Wars, it's a trap. But that's what it feels like. That there's something else coming. And yeah, part of us are. I'm not going to say, Sasha, that we're running naively into it, and that we're hoping for this wonderful, this wonderful golden age thing at the end. But really, what choice do we have? It's too enticing not to run into it. Everybody that gets into this thing, they lose. You don't lose 2 weeks of sleep because you think it's boring. You're absolutely sucked in. There are books and movies that don't suck in people like this does. And so, again, I think it's coming to. I think there's something bigger coming down the road there that even will challenge our imaginations.
Well,
Just me.
this is something I want to.
Wait.
Sasha can go.
Okay, well, I just wanted to say, Mark, I do believe in the golden era at the end of this, and I do believe that we can move towards a better way, but I just think that it just can't be done overnight. I think that it has to be a transition. That's all.
Yes, well, what I was going to say is, echoing your sentiment, Mark, is that it's, no pun intended, it's a shift in your world view. You view the world differently, not just the physical structure. You view all the people in it, all the things, the coincidences, the synchronicities, the media reports. You view everything differently. And with this other way of viewing the world, the ideas that are available are much freer and have a much wider scope than those that are available within the parameters of the globe mind. In fact, just in terms of cosmology, the globe mind has trapped cosmology. Now we're looking at lights in the sky and discussing what those lights are, rather than thinking they are huge balls of nuclear fission out there in space. So whilst more people go through the deprogramming process that Nathan mentioned, when you spend the 2 weeks or 3 months, however long, just absorbing everything, pushing all of the crap out of your mind, Once that system has finished, there's the high, then there's a mild low, then there's all the things. But the thoughts that are available to the mind that has been cleansed, when you mention, Mark, the hive mind, that is such a beautiful concept, because what's available right now, all of us know that there are many, many videos out there that have been made by other people who also have part of the hive mind. Now, as more people join in, more maverick minds will join in. So they will conceptualize ideas that we didn't have. They will put them into video or into words, and then we will also have them. So the way the community is growing, I think, is absolutely brilliant, and that it isn't going faster than it is not a problem. There will be people out there, like Brian Mullen, for instance, who need to really look, really process, and then when they've really processed, come out with something that's just a whopper, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Marty
and then there
Lee.
are people, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, look how long it took him to make that video.
Yeah, and then there are people who get it overnight and have really spontaneous ideas, like spraying flat earth on the side of a sea wall. There are all kinds of different things that are all available for the world to have. But it all comes with this change of perspective, this world change. It's a paradigm shift, without a doubt.
Agreed.
But don't start graffitiing walls. It's not good.
I won't do it again.
You will be arrested.
I won't do it again.
I don't mind. Everyone can do it. It's my broadcast. Go ahead, people.
Hey, if anybody is listening that was the person that did that spraying, well done you.
No, bad.
I have a question for everyone.
Yes.
Because I'm anarchist, I want to ask anyone if you believe that we need a government to be safe and peaceful, yes or no?
No. You have to explain the concept of anarchism, because a lot of people think.
No, but I just want an answer, yes or no.
Oh yes, but if people think that anarchism means lawlessness, which is not what it means, then
yeah, but it's not really about anarchism. Just a question: do you need a government to be safe and peaceful, yes or no?
No. We need
everyone know
structures. We need structures. So we need the people who work in sewage, the people who work in delivery of food, the people that work in healthcare.
Well, I will tell you what I think about it. I think we can use a government, not need one, but we can use one as long as it doesn't have the right to make laws and put people in jail and stuff like that. I think that's the only way we could use a government. That's just my meaning.
People say that we wouldn't have roads or anything. What's more complicated than a road is cell phones. The companies made cell phones. We didn't need a government for that. And then people say, well, we need laws, to protect people from ripping other people off. If you rip somebody off and there's not a government, people just aren't going to do business with you anymore. Hey, don't do any business with that shill Mark Sargent. He's pushing this, this garbage, flat Earth garbage out there. Whatever. If somebody, pisses you off, that's it. And you tell your friends, hey, don't do business with this person. And it self-regulates. The government is
definitely right. If somebody rapes you, you don't call the police and try and go to court and try and prove that they're guilty. You get your friends and your neighbors and you beat the shit out of them. This is natural law.
Yeah, but that's what it comes down to, yeah.
Yes, when George Bush stood up in 1991 and ushered in the New World Order, where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle. Now, the law of the jungle is natural law, okay? And you can think in terms of mobs doing public lynchings and things like that. That's not what we're talking about. A public lynching doesn't happen in an anarchist society. It happens in a society where there's a controller that guides the mob. So somebody rapes you, you call the best guy you know, and you have that guy quietly beat the shit out of them. That's how things work properly. And that's why the guys who came with the swords and say, I'm the king, They had swords. That's why they said they were the king. That's why people didn't argue with them. Now we live in a society where you can take a photograph of the guy approaching. You can do all kinds of things that don't require the same systems of control. So like GeoShifter said, we can use government, but as long as it doesn't impose itself on us.
As long as it doesn't have any rights, basically. People
Yeah.
should have the right to defend themselves, you know, and you can't defend yourself against the government.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have the right to put you in prison or whatever.
Hey guys, real quick. There's a phone call I've got to answer. So
Yeah,
go ahead.
thank you very much for all you guys. Antonio, I hope your mouth gets better.
Thank you.
Thanks
It
for
will be.
being here, man.
I'm taking antibiotics, believe it or not. Usually I would stay away from that, but last resort, go to antibiotics. So
Okay.
thank you.
Anyway, thanks guys very much for having me on. It was
Thank you
fun
also.
talking to all you guys.
Yes. Round
You
of
guys.
applause to you.
Bye, Mark.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Bye, Mark. Thank you.
Yep. See you, man.
Yeah, I'm
That was
probably
great.
gonna finish the hangout soon also. We've
Yes,
been
I'm
going
going.
on for almost 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm going to drop out as well, guys. Okay.
Yep,
Yeah,
Antonio,
Okay,
thanks for
4:30
being here.
a.m.
Yeah, it's been great. Gio,
Feel
it was a brilliant
better.
idea. Thank you. I'll be fine in a couple of days.
I hope so.
Yes. Okay. See you all, guys.
Bye
All
bye.
right, see ya.
Yeah, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, Antonio.
Bye.
God bless.
Bye. Thank you.
And I'm going to sign out as well. And I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me. I was all riled up at the beginning of the show. Sorry about
Was
that.
Awesome to have you here.
I'm broken-hearted that I ain't gonna get a chance, Red. God bless.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye. I will put all the links in the description tomorrow from all the channels and all the panel members.
All right.
Including David Wise.
Deep inside the rabbit hole. So
Yep.
while we're sitting here, just one last thing. My daughter had a rough evening with. She was out with her mother, and the subject of 9/11 came up, and she decided to defend it. And I'm just relating this happens with Flat Earth too. And they refuse to look at, the truth about it, where her mother used to believe that 9/11 was fake, that it was a false thing. But out of the blue, she is just making my daughter feel horrible that she could say things about 9/11 or Flat Earth or whatever. What do you tell a kid to do at that point where it's hopeless convincing this other person for whatever reason, maybe the person's just insecure. When people are in fear, they're less likely to see the truth. You guys have any suggestion on what you would tell somebody? Because I have my ideas, but I thought maybe you guys would have a suggestion.
I try to learn my kids to think for themselves, take as much information as you can, but also think about it and make up your own mind. Try to make your own decisions.
And as we've learned, especially early on in the Flat Earth, we see a truth or we see a lie, the ball lie, and if 99 out of 100 people disagree with us, that doesn't make it any different. They just don't see it, and you have to kind of just hold your own, not get emotional towards those other people, and eventually, the truth will prevail. At least I think it will.
Yeah, that's probably the best. Yeah. By the way, Nathan dropped out, it seems. Nathan, thanks for being in the show, man. Come back if you want, but seems like he's gone also.
All right, well, that's an abrupt ending to the show. I guess we'll end it here. And,
yeah, but I was about to finish also. Yeah, it's like 5:30 a.m. in Belgium.
All right.
I'm gonna get a
Thank you, my
little
friend, for
sleep.
inviting me.
Hey, thanks for being here, Conk. It was an awesome show, I think. Thanks
It
to,
was fun, guys. Nice meeting you all.
Thanks to
All
all
right,
the
man.
people in the chat also and everyone that did moderating, kicking all
Good
the
night,
trolls.
everybody.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Hi, David. Nice meeting
All right.
you. I'm Conk.
Nice meeting you, Conk. See ya.
Thank you, Kong. Bye bye.
Thank you, Gio.